Papa. Oh, am I going? I think I'm going. Papa. There I am. Okay. And then I'm gonna say, hello, chat. Bop. Okay. So yeah. Hey. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday morning. I don't know if my upstairs neighbors moved out or not. They were supposed to. But I don't know if it actually happened. Because it got really quiet. Except I did hear like their dog barking and stuff. But like, that's okay, right? They're dogs. They're not meant to live in apartments. Okay, yeah. So what happened, man? Something like crazy happened. And I was thinking about it. What's this crazy thing that happened? Donald Trump invited Vladimir, I don't know, Zelenskyy, President Zelenskyy from Ukraine, to come visit the United States. So Trump is a gangster, like a mob boss, and he already attempted to extort Zelenskyy before. He already tried it. Like in Minecraft. Oh yeah, here I'm in Minecraft, right? What am I doing here? I died. Like I died and lost all my stuff. So I need to do the slow process of I have to do the slow process of remaking my gear, because the goal, the reason why I died was in pursuit of a rare item, which I obtained, and now it's not so rare. So, but I lost all my stuff, so I need to remake it, and it takes a long time. It takes a long time. So, but it's easy, right? All I do is I hang out here and just chill. And while I do that, I can talk to you. So, okay, back to like the other dimension. Back to the other dimension. Trump ambushed Zelenskyy in the Oval Office. It was the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. I wouldn't say that. Come on, hyperbole. But it was the most disgusting thing I've ever seen a president do. How about that? It was the most disgusting thing I've ever seen a U.S. president do. Like I've seen I've seen pictures of H.W. Bush vomiting in the lap of the fucking of the Japanese Prime Minister. That's pretty disgusting. But this was worse. And like, that's the thing. You have to see it for yourself to really appreciate it. If you rely on the media to cut it up for you and spoon feed it to you, then you're not gonna get a good understanding. You have to see it. You have to see it. The whole thing. Because it's disgusting what they did to Zelenskyy. So, if you watch it, okay, so, I mean, I downloaded it, I can have it go in the background, right? Hey, that's a good idea. Hey, we can watch it together. Hey! Where is it? I want to do that now. That's like amazing. What a good idea. Instead of me talking about it, let's watch it together. Yeah, there it is. Thank you, C-SPAN.
Well, thank you very much. It's an honor to have President Zelenskyy of Ukraine, and we've been working very hard, very close. So we've actually known each other for a long time. We've been dealing with each other.
We've been working very hard, very close. Like, listen to the way Donald Trump speaks. His language is shitty. He repeats simple words over and over again. So all you get is a general feel and nothing specific. Listen to the way he fucking talks. And the best he can say is, we've known each other for a long time. Yeah, dude, because you tried to extort him the last time. Remember? This is the guy you tried to extort. That's why we know you guys. So that's that right off the bat. Like, this guy got impeached because he tried to extort
each other for a long time and very well. We had a little negotiation spat, but that worked out great. I think for both countries. I think for the world, actually.
We had a little negotiation spat? No, we didn't. What are you talking about? Like, he makes these references, but they don't, like, attach to anything. He just makes shit up. So, he's a liar. He couldn't tell you. If you ask him, what are you talking about? He wouldn't be able to tell you. He's like, losing it.
Beyond both countries. And we have something that is a very fair deal.
Right? He says we have something that is a very fair deal. Well, how do we know? You say it's a fair deal, but if you won't show it to us, how can we believe you? He's like, you can't see it, but trust me, it's fair.
And we look forward to getting in and digging and working and getting some.
So he's all about getting the stuff, right? He's like, fuck you guys. He's like, I don't care that you guys are dying. I don't care that you guys are fighting for your freedom against a evil tyrannical regime of criminals. Like, he's like, I just want your stuff, is what he's saying. Fucking Donald Trump, dude. What a piece of shit.
Of the rare earth, but it means we're going to be inside, and it's a big commitment from the United States, and we appreciate working with you very much.
What do you mean it's a big commitment from the United States? What is the United States committing? Going in and digging out your minerals is not a commitment. Right? It's a benefit for you guys to do it. That's why we're having this discussion. So, what's this big commitment that you're talking about, Donald Trump? Is it security guarantees, such as, like, if you invade Russia, if you invade Ukraine, we're going to come in and hit you back? Is it like that, or are you talking bullshit? Let's find out.
And we will continue to do that. We have had some very good discussions with Russia. I spoke with President Putin, and we're going to try and bring this to a close.
So wait a minute, you're there right now with the Ukrainian president, and instead of reaffirming your commitment to their freedom and to their fight, what you do is you bring up the fucking attacker. So imagine you had I need a Jane. I don't know. I need a Jane, right? You had Jane, and she's like, yeah, I'm like, this dude over here is like raped and attacked me and raped me. That's what happened. And so you're on a show with your lawyer, right? You're on a show with your lawyer, and your lawyer's like, okay, Jane, you're in here, and like, you're saying that you got raped by John, like the generic names, right? I don't mean anyone. John. So you got raped by John. That's what you're saying. Well, I called John, and he wants to work this out. What? Whose lawyer are you? Like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Like, whose lawyer are you, dude? I'm here because you're supposed to be my lawyer. Like Jane's saying, I'm here because you're supposed to be my lawyer, representing me and helping me out against the fucking guy who raped me, who attacked me, who violated my rights, and it's threatening to take away my freedom. Like, that's your role, Mr. fucking dumbass. You're not supposed to be calling John to see how he's doing. Like, who gives a fuck about John? John's a piece of shit. Like, metaphorical guy, not the real guy. Come on, I mean, like, I'm not talking about anyone real. I'm using them for an example. I'm just using the name. So yeah, so that's what's happening right here. Jane is being told by her lawyer. The lawyer said, "Yeah, I talked to the rapist, and he wants to work something out." So what? Okay, let's keep going.
Something that you want and that he wants. We have to negotiate a deal, but we've started the confines of a deal, and I think something can happen. The big thing is the number of soldiers, mostly at this point, but soldiers being killed. They're losing thousands of soldiers. So on both sides, we're losing a lot of soldiers, and we want to see.
So note how he always refers to the well-being of Russia, as if it fucking matters. Like, can I do this and still have my yeah, because that way I shrink it. That's much better. But then I have to like I lose my oh yeah, the controls are right there. Okay.
And we want to see the money get put to different kinds of use, like rebuild.
So he's like, yeah, Russia is like losing a bunch of fucking guys, and we want to stop losing money. So Donald Trump is acting like Putin's lawyer right now. He's not acting like Zelensky's lawyer. He's acting like he's on Team Putin. That's what he's making the Russian argument. Like, what? What are you doing, Donald Trump? What are you doing? Are you saying you don't represent the Americans anymore? Now, hold on. Keep going.
The rebuilding. And we're going to be working very hard. But we've had a lot of very good conversations. I will say until we came along, the Biden administration didn't speak to Russia whatsoever.
Yeah, you know why? Because Russia isn't interested in peace. See, that's the thing that's the unspoken part that Trump is avoiding saying. There's a reason why the Biden administration didn't talk to the fucking rapist. Like, there's a reason why the lawyer didn't call John. Right? Because they don't represent John. They represent Jane. So Donald Trump has got it all mixed up, right? Well, he wants to mix you up. That's the whole point. He knows that he's on Team Russia, right? He doesn't want you to know it. He's trying to con you. So he already knows. So he's out here acting as the lawyer for Putin and thinking that you don't know what he's doing.
They didn't speak to anybody. They just allowed this to continue.
Allowed this to continue? Didn't the Biden administration just give Zelensky a shit ton of weapons and money? Like, that's like the opposite of allowing them to. Didn't Biden come out and say, don't fucking do it? Don't fucking do it, Putin? Yes, Biden did. Like, so Donald Trump is acting like Putin's lawyer right now. Do you see that? You see that? He's attacking. He didn't attack Putin. He didn't attack John, the rapist. No. What he's doing is he's attacking Jane and all of Jane's friends. That's what he's doing. Like, do you see how fucking blatantly obvious this is? This is like super clear. That's why I'm showing it to you.
And I will say that, I'll say in front of you, you've heard me say it 1,000 times, if I were president, this war would have never happened.
Do you know why this war would have never have happened? Oh shit. Do you know why this war would have never... He's only partially lying. Because the reason why the war would have never have happened was because he planned on making Zelensky give up so that he would just be corrupted. Or lose the presidency of Ukraine. Like, you have to understand the history. Vladimir Putin wants to reconstitute the old USSR. The old USSR is basically like an America for communists. But all the wealth and money flows back into Moscow. It doesn't help out the satellites. So Poland did not receive benefits from being occupied by USSR. They got fucked. by being in the USSR. So they never want to go back because they had no freedom. So they never want to go back. So, but the USSR is like, it collapsed. So all those countries that it had control over broke free, and they became independent, like Poland, like Ukraine, right? They've been independent since 1991. But Vladimir Putin wants to pull them back in. All the countries that Russia used to own, because that's what they did. They just owned them. They didn't. The satellites didn't get any benefit. They got their resources stripped out of them, and all the good stuff sent back to Moscow so that the city elites could live like a nice, clean life with all the modern amenities. While the satellites were all backwards. They didn't have amenities. They didn't have services. They didn't have anything. So yeah, but the problem is that it's very, very, very expensive to militarily occupy a nation. It costs a shit ton of money to deploy your military, like a shit ton of money. So, in the interest of not spending money, you don't want to have to deploy your military. Plus, when you deploy your military, you cause damage to the place you attack, so that they're less able to make money. And that's less money you can exploit. So for Russia, the best way to take over a country is not with their military, it's with corruption. They want to install a puppet regime so that the puppet regime will do whatever Moscow wants, and the puppet regime will skim whatever money like they need to from the people for Moscow. But if something goes wrong, you don't blame Moscow, you blame the puppet. And then you get rid of the puppet and put in a new puppet. That's the cheapest way to control the country. To control the head of the government with a puppet regime. That's the cheapest way to do it. You don't lose men, you don't lose material, you don't lose weapons, you don't cause devastation. Like, you just corrupt the spirit to make the country work for your country. So that is the case right now with Belarus. Belarus is a country right next to Russia, right next to Russia. Like, think about the name Belarus. So in Latin languages, Rus, well, in French at least, Rus refers to Russia. And Bella in what, Italian, or I don't know, in the Latin languages, the Romance languages, Bella refers to beauty. So the name of Belarus is literally beautiful Russia. So if you had two sisters and one was named Russia and the other was named beautiful Russia. Anyways, Belarus has been puppeted by Russia. They had an election, and the pro-EU candidate won the election, but the corrupt puppet government rigged the election and refused to release the precinct numbers, and you had to go with the official state numbers, which gave the election to the Russian puppet. And the people rebelled for about a month, but then they got beat down by the state. They got beat down pretty hard, and like they just got mass arrested and taken away, and then beat down, like, and they gave up. So they tried. Something similar happened to Ukraine, right? Ukraine was occupied. Well, not occupied. It was puppeted. There was a puppet government in in Ukraine. There was an election between the pro-EU candidate, just like in Belarus, right? It was the same deal. There was an election between a pro-EU candidate and a pro-Russia candidate. And Paul Manafort was the election manager for the pro-Russia candidate. So, let me like clean up here a bit. Like, I need to like, got too much stuff. Like, why do I have these bricks? Well, I don't have hardly anything. Because I died with all my stuff. I'm just gonna take this, I'm gonna take your stuff now. I'm holding a bed, like what? Come on. Alright, so what I'm trying to do is organize a bit here because I want to like use up some of these levels. Because the higher level you get, the more like work it takes to go to the next level. So just keep the level low. Multi-shot, that's gonna be... Oh, these are awful levels, man. Like, why so low? Terrible. Terrible. Alright, we'll just do it again. Anyways. Alright, so the story for Ukraine was the same story for Belarus. But it turned out differently. So, Yanukovych, Viktor Yanukovych, was the Russian puppet. And he and Paul Manafort did a chant of lock her up and promised all sorts of crazy things. It was like a very similar thing to how Donald Trump sounds. And they won the election, right? They somehow tricked the Ukrainian people into electing a Russian puppet, and then Viktor Yanukovych took over and started corrupting Ukraine even more and sending it back to Russia. Well, the people like realized what was going on, that oh shit, we're being fucking sent off to Russia. Holy shit. And they fucking rebelled. In the middle of winter, dudes. In the middle of winter. They didn't wait till spring when the weather was nice, or in the summertime when it didn't rain. No, they went in the fucking winter time, from like November to like February, in the fucking dead of winter. They occupied the center square in Kyiv, in front of the government building, and they refused to leave. They occupied and refused to leave for months. And they faced sniper fire, government sniper fire. People died to gunshots from government snipers to make them stop occupying the square and to leave the government alone. And they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't leave. It was like amazing. They built a tower of ice in the middle of the fucking, right in front of the government building. A tower of ice. They were not having it. They were not going to get dragged back into Russia. And after like 4 months of this, finally Yanukovych, the Russian puppet, fled Ukraine and went back to Moscow. True. So, and then that is how Ukraine is free today. Because they had elections, and the next elections was Poroshenko. And Poroshenko was like, you know, their own guy. And then they had another election, and then their guy was Zelenskyy. So they have freedom, right? They have freedom to choose their leaders. And not get dragged back into Russia, not be beset by corruption, but instead have rule of law. Like, Russia is a country that has no rule of law. It's all gangsters. They're all gangsters. The gangsters have the power in Russia. Like, the law only applies to you if you're weak. The more power you have, the more ability you have to fight off the law. Like, the way the law works is there's not supposed to be anything stronger than the law. The law is the number one thing. Everyone is subject to the law. The rich, the poor, the powerful, the weak. Everyone is subject and protected by the law equally. That's the idea. Because that's why we all come together and agree to give up a portion of our power to live in a society. Because we can live better if we work together. And agreeing on things, being consensual in our agreement, that's one way of working together and accruing power. Because when we work together, we can increase our security. And our prosperity. We lessen work. Okay, anyways, so Ukraine is free, right? But the West doesn't have fucking spies all throughout Ukraine. Like they're not like all up inside Ukraine like fucking secret police or anything. So they don't really know what's going on, right? The people in the West don't really know what's going on. They don't like. Did you know where Ukraine was 10 years ago? I didn't. I had no idea about Ukraine 10 years ago. I didn't have any idea about Russia 10 years ago. I had no idea about any of this stuff. This is all stuff I learned ever since Donald Trump showed up on stage. So yeah. So yeah, the United States was a little bit like scared, I think, to give a bunch of money and weapons to Ukraine like right off the bat, because they didn't know if Ukraine was going to go back over to Russia's side or not. Right? That was the whole point of Zelenskyy of Yanukovych. Yanukovych was supposed to drag Ukraine back to the Russian side, and he didn't do it. He failed. But like, so the USA is like watching, like, are they gonna like they got two presidents, like they're only like one president away from the Russian puppet. Like, how do we know it's not going to happen again? How do we know that they're not going to be taken over by a Russian puppet? So, yeah, America, the Obama administration didn't want to give weapons and money to Ukraine right away, because what if America gives Ukraine all these shiny American weapons, and then the next administration is a Russian puppet, and they give all those shiny weapons to Russia, so Russia can study them and then make copies and sell them on the market. And then now America doesn't have exclusive access to the best weapons. Now everyone has access to the best weapons, and America has to make better weapons. Like, so yeah, America was like, well, like, okay, I understand that you're like right next to Russia and like are afraid that you're gonna get invaded by them, but we don't know if you're gonna go back to them anyways. So we're not so sure about, you know, like, you got to do stuff to prove that you want to get rid of the pro-Russia people, the corrupt people. You got to prove it to us. And so yeah, they were going through step by step getting rid of bad people, like Viktor Shokin, the corrupt lawyer from Ukraine, Attorney General. They got rid of Viktor Shokin, who is a Moscow ally, and was protecting the CEO, the oligarch CEO of Burisma. So yeah, they didn't do that right away, right? So Obama didn't provide all the weapons and money right away. They wanted to check it out and make sure that Ukraine was joining the West and not joining Russia. And then it was supposed to be handed off, not handed off, but Hillary Clinton should have won that election. No, but Trump got assistance from Russia to win the presidential election. And how did he do it? He had help from what's his name? From what's his fucking Paul Manafort. Donald Trump had help from Paul Manafort. Paul Manafort works for the Russians, right? He helped Yanukovych try to puppet Ukraine, and now he's going to help Donald Trump puppet the United States. Because in a military conflict, Russia loses to the United States. So Russia doesn't want to have a military conflict with the United States. If Russia can beat the United States without using the military, that's way better for Russia. Just like same thing with Belarus. It's way better to puppet a nation than it is to use your military, because it costs money to use the military. So Donald Trump gets into power with Russian help he gets into power with Russian help. And then once in power, he extorts Zelenskyy and says, "Hey Zelenskyy, I need you to be corrupt, be a corrupt puppet, and I need you to help me to hold on to power." So the deal that you have to do is that Zelenskyy is going to announce an investigation into Joe Biden. And then when he does that, Donald Trump will release the weapons to Ukraine so Ukraine can defend itself against Russia. But he has to first make the announcement. That's what Donald Trump wanted Zelenskyy to do. And Zelensky's like, "No, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to become corrupt. I'm not going to do it." So that got Donald Trump impeached. Well, not that, but someone reported it. And that's what got Donald Trump impeached. Is that someone reported what Donald Trump was doing. So that already happened, right? Donald Trump already tried to extort Zelenskyy. Now, then Biden got into power, right? Then the election happened. Donald Trump lost the election. Then Donald Trump tried to overthrow the government on January 6th, and he failed. And then Biden is in office. And then Trump is starting to become prosecuted for all his crimes. Okay, Biden comes into office, but the Republicans don't want to help Ukraine. Remember, the Republicans are on board with Russia. So they try to block as much aid as possible from going to Ukraine. So yeah, Ukraine gets some of the weapons, but it takes a long time. And it's kind of a slow drip feed. So what ends up happening is Europe ends up putting in more money than the United States. The United States has given more arms and weapons, but Europe has given more money. Now here's the interesting thing about the arms and money that or the arms that the United States is sending Ukraine. You have to understand that when the United States gives arms and weapons to Ukraine, they're not giving Ukraine the newest, latest weapons, the brand new shiny toys. That's not what's getting sent over. What's getting sent over is like 20, 30, 40-year-old stuff. Ancient shit that we built a fuck ton of time ago. Like 2 generations ago, we built this. So and it's coming up to the end of its life. Like no one uses this anymore. Everyone's got better stuff. Well, I wouldn't say everyone, but there's better stuff out there. And we have better stuff. and like we have to like it's gonna become trash, and like that means we have to take care of it somehow. We have to like deal with it, spend money to like store it, to safely dispose of it, to put it in a boneyard, to buy land and pay rent, like all that shit, right? All that stupid bullshit of taking care of your garbage. Like there's a lot of stuff you have to do, and the United States military has a lot of garbage, right? It has a lot of old stuff that it doesn't need anymore. It built up this huge military designed to attack the Soviet Union that never happened. So like it's just sitting around, and they have to get rid of it. Right. So when this conflict happened between Russia using old Soviet fucking shit, like it became a golden opportunity for the United States. They could get rid of all their old stuff and just give it to someone else instead of having to pay to take care of it. They'll just give it to someone else. And that was Ukraine, and it was designed exactly to take care of Russians. So it was being used exactly for its correct purpose. And someone else is going to take care of it, not the United States. It was fantastic. It makes room for the United States to procure all brand new stuff with the latest technology and the latest ideas, because now you got to understand drone warfare is going to be the next thing. Drone warfare is definitely the next thing. Like everyone was preparing for the next World War II when it's going to be drone warfare, and that means things are way different. So yeah, the United States is going to like get rid of all of its old shit, and it's going to make all new shit. That's the best in the world again, or at least it thinks. That was the plan, right? That was the plan. That was the idea. Because it's in our interest to defend democracy worldwide. Right? It's in our interest. When you're a democracy, you're on the same board as everyone else. You're bound by rule of law. So democracies are all about rule of law. Russia is not a democracy. It's an oligarchy. China is not a democracy. Iran, not a democracy. Saudi Arabia, not a democracy. Belarus, puppeted, not a democracy. Hungary used to be a democracy, but it got puppeted by the far right, so not a democracy. The United States was kind of a democracy. It was a flawed democracy, but who knows where it goes from here. I don't know if we even have it anymore. We will have to see what they try to do to hold on to power. Because remember, the last time Donald Trump didn't abide by democracy. He had to be stopped by the Capitol Police and the military. Well, the riot police eventually. But yeah, he came close to overthrowing the government. And he's going to do it again. So it's in the best interests for Russia to take over a country, not with the military, but with corruption. So yeah, the idea is that Biden started handing over a bunch of our old shit to Ukraine, which was still good against the old Russian shit, and it was great. It allowed Ukraine to stop the Russian invasion, because what Russia does is it invades a land, takes the people that live there, like enslaves or kills the adults, and then takes the children and brainwashes them into being Russians. Like it sounds like a fucking like sci-fi thing where aliens kind of come and abduct you, like, and enslave you, and then like steal your children to become like them. Like, it's crazy, but that's what's happening with Russia, right? So it's in the interest of the United States to defend democracy worldwide. Right, so that's opposed to what Russia wants, which is like rule by power, rule by oligarchs. So Ukraine withheld. I mean, if the aid would have went faster, it would have Ukraine would have saved more land and more people, fought harder, stopped the war earlier. But I don't know. The war was dragged out for a really long time. And I think we have to admit that we're in a world war. That World War III is kind of happening now. Anyways, so we come up to the 2024 election. Donald Trump manages to delay, or through the use of corrupt judges, stop all the prosecution going against him until he becomes president, where his corrupt Supreme Court justices have said that the president is above the law. And then now Donald Trump is in power, and again, he stopped all the prosecutions against him, and now he's dismantling the United States from within. So one way so when he says this would not have happened had I been president, it's because had Donald Trump been president instead of Joe Biden, then Donald Trump would have pressured Zelenskyy to surrender to Russia. That way Russia wouldn't have to send in its military, and that would save Russia a lot of money. Like, it would have been way easier for Russia had Zelenskyy just surrendered. So the plan was Donald Trump was supposed to be in power, not Joe Biden. And he even tried to overthrow the government on January 6, 2021. He was supposed to be there so that Zelenskyy had no choice but to surrender to Russia. But he wasn't. It was Joe Biden. So what did that mean for Putin? Putin had no choice but to send in his military. He would have preferred that Ukraine just surrender the way that Belarus did. Belarus surrendered to Russia. They're a puppet of Russia. The people of Hungary are a puppet of Russia. They're puppeted. Russia doesn't have to send in its military to put down the people to take over the country. The puppet government does that for them. So it's much cheaper for Russia for corruption to happen. So the Russian plan was for Donald Trump to be president in 2021, not Joe Biden. That way, he could stop the flow of weapons to Ukraine, and Ukraine would have to give in to the Russian corruption and give up its freedom and become a puppet. Instead, Joe Biden won the presidency. Donald Trump failed in his insurrection on January 6th, and Joe Biden kept the weapons flowing to Ukraine. So Russia had so if Putin did not deliver Ukraine, if Putin said, oh well, sorry, I just can't do it, sorry, I guess we're not going to take over Ukraine, I guess my vision of a reconstituted USSR is just not going to happen. If Putin tried to do that, what would happen is a younger, more charismatic, more virile oligarch would rise up and kill Putin. They don't have, because in an oligarchy there is no peaceful transfer of power. It's always a murderous event, bloody struggle to see who's gonna become the next fucking top dog. Every time. It happened when Putin took over, and it'll happen when Putin is disposed. Because I doubt he gets to live long enough to die of old age. Putin's gonna get murdered by someone up and coming. That's what they do. They don't have peaceful transfers of power like democracies do. So if Putin doesn't deliver Ukraine to the oligarchs and to Russia, he's going to be viewed as a weak leader. And if you're a weak leader, why should you be the leader if you're weak? So he's going to get murdered. So Vladimir Putin had no choice but to deploy the Russian military to take over Ukraine. He got pushed by it. The plan was to corrupt it with his pawn Donald Trump, but it didn't. But Donald Trump lost power, so Putin had no choice but to deploy his military. Now Putin was operating off bad intelligence. His intelligence told him that the Ukrainian military was the exact same military that the Russians faced in 2014. In 2014, that's when Ukraine had a revolution and kicked out the Russian puppet Yanukovych, who fled back to Moscow. After the Ukrainians kicked out the Russian puppet, Russia invaded Ukraine after their puppet was kicked out and took Crimea and eastern Ukraine. And that was a warning to the Ukrainian, and the Ukrainians could not fight back. Their military was shit. Was absolute shit. The Ukrainians had fucking no military whatsoever. They had old Soviet era fucking weapons that were absolute shit, and it was terrible, right? So Russia rolls in with fucking tanks and a military and just stomps them, right? They just get stomped. The Ukrainians run away. They can't do anything. So that's what happened in 2014. And that's what Vladimir Putin believed the Ukrainian military was in 2022. So when Donald Trump lost power, he couldn't pressure Ukraine to give in, so Russia had to invade. And so it planned as if Ukraine was still in 2014. They were just going to do shock and awe and take over the whole country and decapitate the country, kill the Zelenskyy, and install a new puppet. And just be done with it real quick and go home. That was their plan. To decapitate Ukraine and install a new puppet and go home. But the Ukrainians had been armed bit by bit by the West. And they were way better prepared than they were the last time. So the decapitation attempt failed. The Russian attempt to decapitate failed. They took territory and they took some cities, they destroyed cities, but they failed to decapitate Ukraine, and Ukraine fought back. And now Putin is dragged in this fucking 3-year war slog. And he was losing. All the sanctions from the West were biting. He was becoming more and more indebted to China. He was getting fucked. His oil was being sold for way less money than it was before. He was getting fucked. He lost market share. He was running out of his stockpile, and he didn't have the means to produce more. His provinces that were under the Russian control were starting to get restless and going to start agitating for freedom away from Russia. He was losing it. His oligarchs were looking at him all hungry like they might overthrow him. He was in a bad shape. He was looking bad. He was fucked. And then amazingly, Donald Trump takes power again. His pawn takes power in the United States. So the lifeline, he finally has a lifeline. He can turn around to his people and to his oligarchs and go, look, see, America's going to come save us now. They're going to come, America's turned to the side of Russia, and they're going to save Russia now. So now let's go back to the meeting, right? Donald Trump is on Team Russia. He's being the lawyer for Russia, and he's pro-Russia, and he's against the West. Who's the West? All the democracies. Like Japan is part of the West, even though it's in the East. South Korea is part of the West, even though it's in the East. Because when we say the West, quote quote, we mean democracies, not literally the West, but we mean democracies. Well, I don't know. I don't know if Japan wants to be called the West. That's funny. I don't know if Australia wants to be called the West. So yeah, I gotta think about that. Maybe that's not quite the way I should say it. Anyways, democracies. I'm gonna say that democracies, the world's democracies. So on one hand, you have the world's democracies banding together, and on the other hand, you have the world, the dictatorships banding together for their own interests. That's the thing we have going on right now. And Donald Trump is on team dictatorship. He's on team oligarch. He's not for democracy. He's an enemy of democracy. So at this meeting, understand the framing is being presented as if USA is an ally to democracy and to Ukraine, when the reality is Donald Trump is an agent. Is not an agent. He's an asset for Russia, and he works for Russia. So this is a meeting between Russia and Ukraine. That's what's going on right now. What Donald Trump is saying is that he's saying he wants the minerals, but he's not going to ever say anything about security guarantees. What are security guarantees? Security guarantees mean that you guarantee, with the force of weapons and guns, with the threat of death, you guarantee that the boundaries will be maintained. The borders will be maintained. If they cross the border, they're going to get murdered. That's what that's what a security guarantee is. And Donald Trump won't do it. Why won't Donald Trump do it? Because he's on Team Russia. Why does Russia want guarantees against itself? There's no way. There's no way. So yeah, Donald Trump is on Team Russia. And so he's the lawyer here. So let's go back to what they're talking about. What Donald Trump is saying that this would have never have happened had he been president. He says that because had Donald Trump been president, he would have forced Ukraine to surrender to Russia. That's exactly what he means. That's exactly what he means. So he's telling the truth, just not the way you think.
We would have had a deal negotiated for you without having to go through. We want to see the money get put to different kinds of use, like rebuilding. And we're going to be working very hard. But we've had a lot of very good conversations. I will say, until we came along, the Biden administration didn't speak to Russia whatsoever. They didn't speak to anybody.
That's right. Remember, Zelenskyy is Jane, or Ukraine is Jane, and Russia is John. And John raped Jane. So at this meeting, Donald Trump is supposed to be the lawyer for Jane. Why would the lawyer for Jane call John the rapist? Why would they talk? Why would they talk? Why is the lawyer for Jane calling the bad guy? Because the lawyer for Jane is not really the lawyer for Jane. He's the lawyer for John. That's why.
And they just allowed this to continue.
They allowed this to continue. What is he talking about? All Russia has. The reason why this is continuing is because Russia's invading. Russia can stop it right now. All Russia has to do is go back to Russia. That's it. But you see, Donald Trump is the lawyer for Russia. He's the lawyer for Russia. He's never going to ever say bad things about Russia because he's their lawyer. He's their friend. He's not the friend of democracies. He's the friend of dictatorships.
And I will say that, I'll say in front of you, you've heard me say it 1,000 times, if I were president, this war would have never happened. We would.
Because why would the war never have happened? Because that was the plan, right? The plan was Donald Trump would be president, he would overthrow the American democracy, he would win on January 6th, be president, and then stop all the aid to Ukraine. And then Ukraine would have no choice but to surrender to Russia. And Russia would control Ukraine with a puppet government and not have to spend a shit ton of money and lose 700,000 people. Holy shit! Do you know how many people is 700,000 people? Russia is bleeding people. They're just throwing humans into a meat grinder in order to make Ukraine surrender. Like, they would much prefer to have their puppet been in power because then puppet Trump would have made Ukraine surrender. So when he says this would have never have happened, that's what he means. He means he would have forced Ukraine to surrender a long time ago.
Would have had a deal negotiated for you without having to go through what you've gone through. But you...
He's like, I would have made you surrender. And we would have had to, Russia wouldn't have had to spend all this money and lose all its military invading you. It would have been way cheaper if you just would have surrendered.
Your soldiers have been unbelievably brave. We've given them great equipment, but somebody has to use the equipment. They've been unbelievably brave.
Yes.
And we give them great credit. This was supposed to be over very quickly, and here we are 3 years later. So I give tremendous credit to your generals and your soldiers and yourself in the sense that it's been very hard fighting, very tough fighting. They're great fighters.
Yeah.
And you have to be very proud of them from that standpoint. But now we want to get it over with. It's enough, right? We want.
So, who's we? When he says we want to get this over with, who's we? Who's the we that he's talking about? You know who the we... Remember, Donald Trump made the frame to look like it's supposed to be... He's supposed to be the friend, the lawyer for Ukraine. But he's not. Donald Trump is the friend of Russia. So when Donald Trump says we, he doesn't mean the United States and Ukraine. He means he means Russia, the United States and Russia. They want Ukraine to surrender. That's what they're saying. This here is an offer for Ukraine to surrender. When they sign a quote mineral deal, they're not signing a mineral deal. What they're doing is they're signing the surrender of Ukraine. Ukraine's going to surrender their territory to Russia. And Russia's going to use those and mine those minerals and then sell them to the United States. That's what they mean. This is not this was supposed to be a meeting between allies, and what it was a attempt to get Ukraine to surrender, to sign a surrender document. And Zelenskyy refused to surrender. Understand what's going on here.
Want to get it over with. So it's an honor to have you here. Thank you very much for coming. We're going to sign the agreement at the conference in the East Room in a little while, right after lunch. And we'll be having lunch together. We're also discussing some other things, and we appreciate it.
So you hear, right? The plan, oh shit. The plan was that they were going to do the meeting and then go sign the document. That was the plan. They're going to do the meeting. Ukraine was going to surrender, and then they were going to sign the surrender document. That was the whole point of the thing, right? They had it planned out.
Everybody being here, it's somewhat of an exciting moment, but the really exciting moment is when they stop the shooting and we end up with a deal. And I think we're fairly close to getting that, and an honor to have you. And please, I'd like to say something.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. President. Thank you for the invitation. And really, I hope that this first document, will be a first step to real security guarantees for Ukraine, our people, our children. I really count on it. And of course, we count that America will not stop support. Really, for us, it's very important to support and to continue it. I want to discuss it with details further during our conversation. And
yeah, he wants to discuss details because he hasn't been told any details. Because there hasn't been made any details. The reporters keep asking about details. All he says is, it's a great deal, we're really close. It's a great deal, it's very fair. How do you know it's very fair if there's no details? So he's just bullshitting. Oh, fucking Trump. He's on team, remember, Trump is on team Russia. So, and Ukraine's like, yeah, dude, I really want this deal. I really want this deal. I want to see details, though. We don't have, like, so we need to see details. And he's like, maybe we can't discuss details out in public. But in the back room, yeah, let's talk about details.
Of course, the infrastructure or security guarantees.
Security guarantees.
Because for today, I understand what Europe is ready to do. And of course, I want to discuss with you what United States will be ready to do.
All right, so key point, right? He's like, I understand, right? He's already spoken to, and he said, I understand what the Europeans are ready to do, right? He's already talked to the Europeans. Now he's here coming to the United States to say, well, what's the United States going to do? What are you guys ready to do to end this war?
And I really count on your strong position to stop Putin. And
Right, I count on your strong position to stop Putin. Because why is this going on? Because Russia's invading. It can end right now. All Russia has to do is go home. That's it. It's not going on because of what Ukraine is doing. Ukraine can't do anything to stop the war sooner except kick Russia out through military. You have to hurt Russia enough so that it gives up and it stops trying to invade. That's the whole point, right?
And you said that enough with the war. I think that is very important, Ben, to say these words to Putin at the very beginning of war, because he is a killer and terrorist. But I hope that together.
Do you see how Zelenskyy can say the truth? That Putin is a killer and a murderer and a terrorist. That's true. It's easy to say that. It's easy to say it. Russia's the enemy. It's not a democracy. Russia does bad things to the United States and the United States people. Russia hates us. And their leader is a criminal. Like, I don't know about the Russian people so much, right? But their government fucking hates us. And what's their government? A bunch of fucking hoodlums, a bunch of criminals, criminal oligarchs. That's their government. Oh, I almost died. So it's easy to say the truth, that Putin is a criminal. But you will never, it will never happen that Donald Trump says anything bad about Vladimir Putin. It will never happen because Donald Trump is owned by Putin. It will never happen. So yeah, note how Zelenskyy can talk shit about Putin, but Donald Trump cannot, because Donald Trump is the henchman. You don't talk shit about the boss.
We can stop him, but for us it's very important to, to save our country, our values, our freedom, and democracy, and of course, no compromises with the killer about our territories, but it will be...
Right? So Zelenskyy is saying no compromise with the killer. No compromise with Putin, right? He wants our we want our land back. You can't fucking take our land. You made an agreement not to invade, and now you invaded. You broke the agreement. We want our fucking land back.
Later, and of course what I wanted, we spoke about it by phone with you about the drones production. We have very good drones production. I think
Ukraine's got very good drone production. Hell yeah, dude. So you got to understand the nature of war has changed drastically. It is, and in the era of drones, it has changed completely. Like it's all about drone warfare. The only reason why Ukraine can strike all those key oil facilities inside Russia is because it has its own drone production and deal going.
The best one in the world for today because of the war. Yes, and of course we need very much the air defense. You have the best air defense in the world, and really you helped us under attacks of Russians. And I want to speak how we can exchange the licenses. We're open to share the licenses of all our drones with you, of course.
Isn't that fucking amazing? So we know that drone warfare is going to be the fucking thing in the future. That's the next conflict. If the United States is involved in a conflict, its enemies are going to have drones. The drones are going to fly around. They're going to fucking drop bombs on you. They're going to yeah, it's going to be different. So, and Zelenskyy, Ukraine is in an active drone war right now. They're the pioneers of the drone war. So, yeah, and then the United States does indeed have great air defense. The Patriot air system is indeed a very good air defense system. So it makes sense to partner with one another. You guys can check out our drone data, and then we get access to your air defense system, so that Russia can't lob fucking missiles at us anymore. What a great deal, right? What a great deal. Okay,
with the United States, and we need licenses for quick production of air defense. Even after the war, we need our nation to be calm, that we are secure. So that's why we need this air shield. And of course, about this, I want to speak about the contingents. I think that France and UK already spoke to you, and we know that Europe is ready, but without the United States, they will not be ready to be as strong as we need.
So he's saying, like, I talked to the EU, and I know what they're gonna do, and they're prepared to do, right? But you, Mr. fucking Russian lawyer, haven't been clear about what the United States is ready to do. Like, let's get some details. All Trump has been talking about is the minerals. He hasn't talked about, like, what kind of guarantees. Like, how is he gonna get Russia out of Ukraine? He hasn't talked about any of that. Why hasn't he talked about how he's gonna get Russia out of Ukraine? Because he's on Team Russia. Why would the Russian lawyer give details on how to get them out of the country they want to of the country they're invading? They don't want to do that. They don't want to do that at all. That's why Donald Trump hasn't said anything about it, because Russia's not interested, and Donald Trump's on Team Russia.
And the last point, last not least, about exchange, about our people and children. And you know that these crazy Russians, that they stolen 20,000 of children, Ukrainian children. They changed their names, they changed their families, relatives, and now they're in Russia. We want to bring them back, and really, it's a big dream, task, and goal for me, and our warriors. By the way, Mr. President, we released more than 4,000 warriors from Russian prison, but there are thousands more in the prison. I wanted to share with you some images. How it's just can I now?
Yeah, please.
Please. 1 minute. Just you to understand in what circumstances, in what situation they are, and what the attitude of Russia to our prisoners. That guys, just you before and after. You see before and after, just you to understand. Now thousands.
So why can't, I mean, it might be that Russia's not able to take care of its prisoners, because it's losing the war. Like, but yeah, Russia does not take care of the prisoners it takes. I mean, Russia's a terrorist state. They're fucking killers. They murder people. I mean, they're a terrorist nation, right? So I mean, you could say the same thing about the United States. Okay. But we're talking about Ukraine right now. The United States is not currently invading anywhere. Well, yeah. Anyways.
Guys, ladies and men, there, and that, so they don't eat, they beat them, and they, a lot of bad things.
Yeah,
so out of, even during the war, there are rules. Everybody knows there are rules during the war. So these guys, they don't have any rules. You see that 50, 60 kilograms left, and a lot of such things. And I didn't want to show you what the changes with images of children, because I will just share with you. And I mean, it's looking tragic.
No, that's tough stuff.
Yeah, I don't want it very much to give you, and you see it.
Yeah.
This is pastor, by the way. They stolen pastors, because it's not Russian church. They stolen pastors and moved pastors to the prison. At the end of last year, we brought 3 pastors, and we could exchange them. And this is pastor, you see.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, so I mean, this I wanted to show you, and this. So thank you very much.
We want to get that ended, right?
Yeah, of course. We
And
will.
I think we will. And
We have to, of course.
do you have any questions, please?
Mr. President, President.
Thank you, Mr. President. With the, how much money is the U.S. going to put into the fund that is being created today, and how does this provide long-term security for Ukraine?
All right. The question is, how much money are you going to put into it, and how's the money going to create long-term security? Because remember, Russia's broken every fucking agreement that they made. Every agreement Russia's made, Russia's broken. So if there's an agreement with no teeth to it, why would we expect Russia to adhere to it? They've broken every single one.
Well, we don't know exactly how much because we're going to be putting some money in a fund that we're going to get from the raw earth that we're going to be taking.
Raw earth or rare earth? It's rare, dude. Not raw. It's rare. It's rare earth. You were interested in the rare earth. I don't know, man. Maybe you want raw earth. Like, but you want a bunch of dirt, dude? That's in your backyard, dude. That's raw earth. You fucking idiot. All right. So notice how he's like, I'm not gonna tell you how much money I'm gonna put in. He just says, I'm not gonna tell you.
And sharing in terms of revenue. So it's going to be a lot of money will be made from the sale and from the use of raw earth. And as you
like, is he doing that on purpose, or is he really just that ignorant? It's not raw earth, motherfucker. It's rare. Like, again, if you want raw earth, you can get that in your backyard. I mean, like, he's being stupid. I don't know if I think he is just stupid, but.
You know, our country doesn't have much raw earth. We have a lot.
That's a bunch of bullshit. It's a bunch of bullshit. Number one, we have a shit ton of raw earth. That's raw earth, you fucker, you dumbass. Number two, what he means is rare earth. Rare, as in scarce. And but that's what's so funny about it. Rare earth is not rare. It's just called that for some funny reason. We have a shit ton of rare earth in the United States. The issue is that our rare earth is mixed with this radioactive stuff. And so like barely radioactive, like not even radioactive, but it's still radioactive. So it's all mixed up with other stuff. So, and it takes work to separate out the stuff you want from the stuff you don't want. So yeah, we have a shit ton of rare earth. But it's all mixed up with, but we don't have a lot of pure rare earth. All our rare earth requires processing, and it creates waste. So, well, and this waste is barely radioactive. Well, what is this waste that's barely radioactive? What is he talking about? Or what are you talking about? The waste that's barely radioactive, that's mixed up with all our domestic rare earth deposits, is called thorium. Thorium. Thorium is an element that's barely radioactive, but it's still radioactive, and it is very commonly mixed up with rare earth. And so the problem is, if you want rare earth, like, you can't just dig it up, because you're gonna also dig up a bunch of this thorium. So you have to go through the process of separating out the rare earth from the thorium. Then you have to go through the process of disposing of all the thorium that you dug up, because right now there's no use for thorium. But what if I told you we could use all that thorium? Yes, there's a way to turn thorium into nuclear power, so that the United States would have unlimited energy. Because the process of using thorium to make fission, not fusion, but fission, when you do it in a molten salt reactor, it's way more efficient and safer than doing it in our current method of light water reactors. It's way better to do it in a molten salt reactor than a light water reactor, because then you can use different fuels like thorium. Then thorium transforms from a waste product to a fuel source. a nuclear fuel source. And you can completely get rid of fossil fuels and coal once you do that. Like, holy shit, we can stop all fossil fuel production by switching to this new kind of nuclear reactor that we have tons of fuel for. Yes, I'm saying that. I've been saying that for fucking years. But oh my gosh. Anyways, so Donald Trump is lying when he says that we don't have any rare earth. We have a shit ton of rare earth. The only difference is our rare earth is mixed up with thorium.
Of oil and gas, but we don't have a lot of the raw earth.
We do.
And what we do have is protected by the
wrong.
environmentalists, but that can be unprotected. But still, it's not very much. They
Lies, we have
have
lots.
among the best in the world in terms of raw earth. So we're going to be using that, using it for all of the things we do, including AI.
See, like, do you see how self-centered he is? It's not about Ukraine at all. It's about how they're gonna come in and take all the minerals and then use them for themselves. What a piece of shit, dude! What a piece of shit.
And including weapons and the military, and it's really going to very much satisfy our needs. So it's something that just worked out really.
See, satisfy our needs. I'm not talking about Ukraine. It's all about him. It's all about him and his rich ass buddies.
Well, we have a lot of oil, and we have a lot of gas, we have a lot, but we don't have raw earth. So
We do have raw
this,
earth. Stupid fuck.
this has just about every component of the raw earth that we need for computers, for all of the things we do.
And on
This puts us in great shape.
And on long-term security for Ukraine. How does this provide?
I think they're going to have great luck. I think once we make the agreement, that's going to be 95% of it. They're not going to go back to fighting. I've spoken with President Putin.
So for Donald Trump, it's about 95% of the agreement. So Ukraine really wants security agreements. Donald Trump does not want to give them. You see? He's like, I'm only going to give you 5% security guarantee. I don't want to give you security guarantees. And listen, now he's like, I talked to the rapist.
And I feel very strong. I've known them for a long time, and I feel very strongly that they're very serious about it, and we'll make a deal. And when the deal is made, I don't think we talk about security. Everyone's talking about the other day. All they talked about was security. I said, let me make the deal first.
The thing is, you don't make a deal without security. What kind of fucking deal do you need? Russia fucking leaves. That's the deal, right? That's the deal. Are you trying to say, oh, you want to like figure out a way to give Russia some of Ukrainian land? Is that what you're trying to fucking work on? Because that's what it sounds like. There's like no deal to be made. The interesting thing is that Donald Trump keeps saying they're close to a deal, but doesn't ever talk about security guarantees. Who's the party that doesn't want security guarantees? Russia. Russia does not want guarantees against further Russian aggression. So Donald Trump is on Team Russia. Listen to him talk and defend Russia against the United States and against Ukraine. Just watch him. You can hear him. He does it right here.
To make the deal first. I don't worry about security right now. We have to have a deal, because right now, last week 2,000 soldiers died on both sides. 2,000, and they're losing 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 a week. So as we sit here and we talk, people are getting shot and dying on the battlefield. And you know, they're not American soldiers, but they're Russian soldiers.
What? They're not American soldiers, but they're Russian soldiers. Who gives a fuck about Russian soldiers? They shouldn't be there. Like, what are you doing? Do you see what I mean? Donald Trump is on Team Russia. Who gives a fuck about what happens to the invaders? Like, it wouldn't have happened were they not there, right? Oh, those Russian soldiers, they fucking died. Well, don't be in Ukraine, motherfucker. Oh my God. Donald Trump is absolutely on Team Russia. He's the Russian lawyer. He's talking for Russia.
And the Ukrainian soldiers, and we want to be able to stop it. And we want to be able also to spend money on other things. We don't want to. This is a tremendous amount of money, and what the Biden administration did was terrible.
What did the Biden administration do? Arm Ukraine, so that Ukraine didn't have to surrender to Russia, and that meant that Putin had to use his military to invade. But Putin mischaracterized the Ukrainian military. Putin thought the Ukrainian military was from 2014. It wasn't ready for the 2022 Ukrainian military, which totally fucked them up. And now he's stuck in this fucking quagmire that he can't do anything.
We're giving money, but he had no security on the money. Europe, as you know, gave much less money.
What do you mean he gave no security on the money? What are you talking about, dude?
But they had security. It was in the form of a loan. They get their money back, and we didn't. And now, at least we're protected because the American taxpayer has to be protected too. But
I don't know what he's talking about. He's like, you see the way he vaguely just references, oh, Americans weren't compensated. Like, dude, we give tons of loans to. It's not all aid. A lot of the aid, the money that we give Ukraine, is credits to buy U.S. ammunition. So where does the money go? Into private fucking corporations. Does a zombie villager ever grow up? A baby zombie? Or do you have to like wait till it turns into an adult? Maybe I cure it first and then. Alright, let's try to cure it first. Where's he at? I can't see shit. Turn off the shaders, man. Or here, switch to daytime. So anyways. Oh, there's an adult in there. Man, I can't be playing this. Then I stop talking. Oh shit, I killed him. Anyways. Alright, well. Where was I at? So anyway, yeah, it was... Yeah.
This is an incredible agreement for Ukraine.
What do you mean? What is it? You said you didn't even make the agreement yet. And why is it good for Ukraine?
Because we have a big investment in their country now.
So it's good for Ukraine because you have a big investment to take away their minerals? And like, you're so lucky we're taking your shit. What? Do you see how he works for Team Russia? Man, oh, it's so bad.
And what they have, very few people have. And we're able to really go forward with very, very high-tech things and many other things, including weaponry that we're going to use in many locations, but that we need for our country.
Mr. President,
this allows us to do this.
Mr. President, will you continue?
I'm sorry.
Military aid.
Yes, go ahead, please.
If I can just, yes. In the document, there is one of the very important points if we speak about business and investment. We never had LNG terminals in Ukraine. This document will open. I mean, the next document, but anyway, here we see in the framework, we see a really goodwill for this. LNG terminals for us is very important, and I think for security of European continent.
Okay, so yeah. So what Zelenskyy is talking about is that everyone's talking about liquefied natural gas, LNG. What they're saying is liquefied natural gas. So that's an energy source. It's like a clean, like it still puts out CO2, but it puts out less. It's like a cleaner way of getting energy. Now there's a bunch of natural gas in Qatar. There's a bunch. But it has, like, they have no way of getting it over. And then Europe is a big market that wants natural gas. But you can't just ship it over to across the ocean. You can, but it's really expensive. It's way cheaper to use a pipe, and have the pipe have it go to wherever it needs to go through a pipe. And I don't know what that has to do with Ukraine, but yeah, Ukraine's saying that it can store natural gas and then distribute it to the rest of Europe that way. So he's trying to make it appear that Ukraine has something to offer other than the minerals.
We have the biggest storage, gas storage. We have the biggest in Europe. Yes, and we can use it. Use it for LNG. Use it for LNG, and we will do it. And really, we can help Europe because Europe really helped. President Trump said that they made less support, but they're our friends and they are our very supportive partners. They really gave a lot, Mr. President. They did.
They gave a lot, but they gave much less.
No.
Much less.
No. No.
Do you see that? You see how Zelensky refused to go along? Donald Trump tried to lie and say that Europe gave less money than the United States, and Zelensky is directly contradicting him. Directly contradicting him, saying no, they helped out a lot, and they did not give much less. Donald Trump is trying to make that argument, and Zelensky is directly contradicting him to his face. Do you see that? Did you see that little fucking like body motion they made? Like it looked like a television skit. Like watch it again. Like it was look at how when Donald Trump tries to impose his will, his version of reality, and Zelensky keeps bashing it away, and they keep leaning into each other. It's almost like a comedy skit. Like that's what it is.
Goodwill for this. LNG terminals for us is very important, and I think for security of European continent.
Listen,
we
watch.
have the biggest storage, gas storage. We have the biggest in Europe. Yes, and we can use it. Use it for LNG. Use it for LNG, and we will do it. And really, we can help Europe because Europe really helped. President Trump said that they made less support, but yeah.
He said they made less support, but no.
Our friends, and they.
But no, they're our friends.
Our very supportive partners.
They're very supportive. They've already said what they're willing to do. What are you willing to do, United States? That's what Zelensky keeps asking.
They gave a lot.
And he's saying they really gave a lot.
Mr. President. They did.
And he's trying to be as gentle as possible. Do you see how he's not like saying you're wrong? Like, you're wrong! No, he's not doing that at all. He's being really, really gentle and diplomatic as a way for Donald Trump to save face. So that Donald Trump isn't being directly contradicted. Do you see how Zelensky is trying to be as nice as possible? And as gentle as possible? He's not accepting Donald Trump's lie that Europe didn't hardly give anything, that Europe gave less. He's not accepting Donald Trump's lie, but he's trying to be as diplomatic as possible.
They gave a lot, but they gave much less.
No.
So that's a lie, right? That's a lie. Europe gave more money than the United States.
No.
No?
Much less.
No.
No.
Do you see the way that was like a comedy thing? He tried to impose his thing, and it didn't work. It didn't work. Zelensky didn't I want to keep that guy. There's a little kid in there. But I guess I can kill the kid first. Or not kill cure the kid first. Wait for him to grow up and then get the next guy. So I need a potion of weakness, a splash potion of weakness. Is there one? 1, 2, 3. And splash. So you go to the thing here. Dilute a spider eyeball into water to make a poisonous water. Anyways, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. President Trump, you have repeatedly called the deal with Ukraine as a historical one. And as a President of the United States, you make historical decisions in other issues which affect America and other world. So what place in the world history do you want to take? And do you associate yourself with any famous historical figures?
What kind of weird question is that? It's like, what kind of history do you want to make? And do you associate yourself with any historical figures? That's a weird question.
Yeah, I'd say George Washington, Abraham Lincoln. I would say I'm far superior to George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. Now, you know I'm only kidding, right? Because when I say that, the fake news is going to go wild. They're going to say he considers himself to be better than Washington. But you never know. You never know. I don't compare myself to anybody. I'm here to do a job. We've had a great 35 days or whatever it might be, a month, a little more than a month.
So I guess this is like a softball question. There's like, here's an easy one for you to kick at, to knock it out of the park.
We've accomplished tremendous amounts. Not only this would be a very great achievement if we could get the war stopped and get them back to normalization. I think that's going to happen. We've had very good talks on both sides, as you know. But I think we've done a very good job, just generally. If you look at all of the things we've done in 30 days, they're saying there's never been a opening for a president. The first month, there's never been a first month like we've had. And this is one of the very important things. This, to me, is one of the most important things because we have tremendous death taking place as we speak. And I don't want to have that. You know, think of the parents, whether they're in Russia or Ukraine, think of the parents of all these people being killed needlessly.
They came to our territory.
Should have never started.
Yeah, he's like, Donald Trump keeps trying to say like both sides it, and Zelensky's like, no, dude, they came to us. They started it. So, do you see how Donald Trump is absolving Russia of its responsibility? Like, Donald Trump is a lawyer for Russia, not for Ukraine. Oh no. Oh, I need a golden apple. I don't have one. I don't have a golden apple, man. Anyways.
This would have, if I were president, this would have never started.
Mr. President, where and how did you conviction?
Remember, why wouldn't have never started? Because he would have made Ukraine give up a long time ago. That's why. The plan was he was going to overthrow the government in 2021, January 6, 2021, be the president, and then cut off Ukraine, so the Ukraine had no choice but to surrender to Russia without Russia having to do a horrible invasion where all its people are dying. That was the plan. So that's what he means when it would have never have happened. He said he would have made Ukraine give up.
Mr. President, will you continue sending military aid to Ukraine after the U.S. signs this agreement with Ukraine?
Yeah, we're going to be continuing.
To President Zelenskyy, do you feel like the U.S. is on your side, that that President Trump is on your side at this moment?
So, do you see that reporter fucking knows what's going on? For sure. That reporter knows what's going on. He asked first to President Trump, would you continue to send aid to Ukraine? And then he asked President Zelenskyy, do you think this guy is really on your team? Because everyone knows, I mean, it's obvious that Donald Trump is working for Russia. All his talking points have been from the Russian perspective to help out Russia. He never says anything bad about Russia. He always says bad things about everyone else. Never about Russia. So, yeah, like the reporter is basically saying what everyone already knows but can't say out loud. Is that Donald Trump is on Team Russia and Zelenskyy probably shouldn't trust what Donald Trump is saying. That Donald Trump is not on your side. But because they're in front of the cameras, they have to like pretend.
What do you think?
He wants to know.
You see that? They both said you go first. He's like, do you think Donald Trump is on your side? And Donald Trump is like, yeah, go ahead. Do you think I'm on your side? Because Donald Trump is not on your side.
Do you think that, sort of a stupid question. I guess we wouldn't be here if I wasn't.
Remember, the point of this meeting, the real point of this meeting, is for Ukraine to sign a surrender document, to surrender, to say that we're going to give up all this stuff, and in exchange, like, apparently we're not getting any security guarantees because Donald Trump doesn't want to talk about it. So, like, when you sign an agreement with no security guarantees, that's a surrender. So the point of this meeting was to make Ukraine surrender. That was the point.
I think that the United States on our side from the very beginning of occupation, and I think that President Trump on our side, and of course, I'm sure that the United States President will not stop support. This is crucial for us. It's important.
So in other words, everything he said is wrong. Everything. I mean, yeah, the United States, the people are on your side, most of them. I'd say a lot of the United Americans are on the side of Ukraine. Donald Trump is not on your side though, Zelenskyy. He's not on team democracy. He's on team dictatorship. So Donald Trump is clearly making all the Russian talking points because Donald Trump is on team Russia. And number 3, no, Donald Trump is going to stop sending aid to Ukraine. That's why you know that reporter knows what's going on, because he asked the perfect question.
Important for us, yes. And Putin, the president, speaks about the people and the soldiers which are dying, but they came to our territory, they came to our land. They began this war, and they have to stop. And I think this is the question, with really the most important question. Can President Trump, I hope yes, with some other allies, to stop Putin, withdraw these enemies, our enemy, withdraw these troops from our land? And I think that you asked about the history, I think that if President, or when, he will stop Putin, if President Trump will bring peace to our country, I think he will be on this wall in time.
So Zelenskyy is saying, if Donald Trump can bring peace to Ukraine, yeah, he's gonna be like a great president and looked up to for forever. That's what Zelenskyy is saying.
We've had very, very good talks.
Mr. What about military aid to Ukraine?
President Zelenskyy just said that there would be no compromises with Vladimir Putin. I just wanted to ask both of you, firstly, are there compromises that you think that President Zelenskyy is going to have to make? And President Zelenskyy, is there anything that you might be thinking that you may be able to offer or bring to the table, for example, elections? Thank you.
I think you're going to have to always make compromises. You can't do any deals without compromises. So certainly he's going to have to make some compromises, but hopefully they won't be as big as some people think you're going to have to make. That's all. That's all we can do. I'm here as an arbitrator, as a mediator to a certain extent between two parties that have been very hostile, to put it mildly. They've been very.
He's supposed to be on Team America, or on Team Democracy, on Team Russia, or not Russia, Ukraine. He's not supposed to be in the middle. He's not supposed to be a fair arbiter. He's supposed to be on Team Ukraine against Russia. Oh my God, Donald Trump is such a fucking piece of shit.
Very hostile. This has been a vicious war.
Yeah, they're pretty hostile because Russia fucking invaded. That's why there's been hostilities. If Russia goes home, all the hostilities stop. Like, do you see how he keeps framing it in a pro-Russia frame? From a pro-Russia perspective? Russia's never at fault. Putin's never the bad guy. Like, Donald Trump is absolutely there to help Russia and not Ukraine.
This has been a vicious war. You know, it's a very level battlefield, and those bullets go out, and as I've said many times, we were talking about it with Pete, many times the only thing stopping those bullets is a human body. And in the case we're talking about, generally young human bodies are stopping a lot of bullets. It's dead level. That's why it's great farmland. It's great land. It's great farmland, but there's very little protection against the bullets that are being, and other things that are being shot. So all I can do is see if I can get everybody at the table and get an agreement. And I think we're going to end up with an agreement. Otherwise, I wouldn't probably be even here today.
Mr. President, I've got two questions for you. You think ultimately
Zelensky's like, whoa, what the fuck? What about me? I'm like right here. Why can't I answer some questions? Like,
your legacy will be the peacemaker and not the president that led this country into another war and ended foreign wars? And I've got a question.
I hope it will. I mean, I hope I'm going to be remembered as a peacemaker.
so it's another bullshit question. Like, it was like, oh, how do you think you'll be remembered? Who the fuck cares?
This would be a great thing if we could do this. I'm doing this to save lives more than anything else. Second is to save a lot of money, but I consider that to be far less important. So I hope I'm going to thank you, Brian, for that question.
Yeah, this is
a
very
nice
expensive
question.
for Russia to invade.
I
They wanna
hope I'll
stop
be known
save
and
money.
recognized as a peacemaker. This would be a great thing to solve. This is a very dangerous situation. You know, this could lead to a third world war. This was headed in the wrong direction. If this election were lost, if we didn't win this election, and we won it by a lot, that was a mandate.
He's lying. He barely won the election. He has like the lowest win margin of like any modern president. He barely won.
We won every swing state. We won the popular vote by millions and millions of votes. We won everything. The districts, you look at the areas of red, take a look at a map. This was a big mandate, and this was one of
The land doesn't vote. Like the map that he's pointing to doesn't account for population, only land, so that it's distorted. It doesn't give you the right picture.
the things. I said we're going to get this thing settled. If we didn't win, I think this could have very well ended up in a third world war, and that would not have been a good situation. What was your...
So it's interesting he keeps mentioning third world war, because that's what Putin keeps threatening. Putin keeps threatening nukes and escalation. That's his whole shtick. So Donald Trump repeating what Putin's saying is kind of weird.
Second
And
question?
my second question for President Zelensky: why don't you wear a suit? You're at the highest. Why don't you wear a suit? You're at the highest level in this country's office, and you refuse to wear a suit. Just want to see people. Do you own a suit?
Yeah.
So it's a weird question, right? Why aren't you wearing a suit, Zelensky? But it's a foreshadowing. Da-da-dum. It's foreshadowing. Because remember, what Trump is going to go into when the ambush happens, when they begin the ambush, the thing they're going to try to do is say that Zelensky is disrespectful. So the reporter's comment about the suit, saying that it's disrespectful, is a setup for later on when Vance says that Zelensky is disrespectful. What the fascists want to do is create a pretense that gives them an excuse to cut off aid from Ukraine, because that's what they end up doing. They end up cutting off aid from Ukraine, but they wanted an excuse to do it. Say that, oh, the way that Zelensky behaved toward us was very disrespectful, so that's why we did it. But no, it never happened. Zelensky never took the bait. Zelensky was never disrespectful, but they planned on him being disrespectful, because they would have lost their shit if the roles would have been reversed. So yeah, the fascists can't believe it.
Yeah, problems.
A lot of Americans have problems with you not
Really?
respecting
I
the
don't have
dignity of this
such-
office.
I will wear a costume after this war will finish.
Okay.
Yes, maybe one.
Maybe something like this?
something like
Yes,
yours.
sir.
Yes.
That'd be great.
Maybe something better. I don't know. We will see. Maybe something cheaper. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
What the fuck was that? It was a bullshit question. Did you hear how bullshit that was? Like, here's the president of a country that's being invaded by Russia, and you're fucking giving him shit for his suit, or his attire. Are you a dumbass? Fuck. But it was a setup. He's being set up. You see, Zelensky's being set up.
Thank you, President Trump. You said yesterday that you have...
Are you going to send more arms to Ukraine in case there's no peace?
Yeah, we're going to have arms to Ukraine, yeah, sure. Hopefully I won't have to send very much, because hopefully we're going to have it finished. We're looking forward to finishing this quickly. We're not looking forward to sending a lot of arms. We're looking forward to getting the war finished so we can do other things. But we very much appreciate the agreement, because we needed what they had, and we're treating, you know, our country is now treated fairly. Biden didn't do that. He didn't know what the hell he was doing. This should have never happened. This should have...
Like, he keeps going to the fact that he said, I would have made Ukraine surrender. I would have made Ukraine surrender. Like, why does he keep going back to the fact that he would have made Ukraine surrender? Because he has to reassure his boss that he's going to do a good job. Who's his boss? Putin.
Never started. But, you know, sure, the answer is yes, but hopefully we won't have to send much, because I'm looking forward to getting it done quickly, very quickly.
Does that mean you'll provide security guarantees?
Listen, he's just like bullshitting. I'm getting it done quickly, very quickly. Like, what? Like...
He was doing. This should have never happened. This should have never started. But, you know, sure, the answer is yes, but hopefully we won't have to send much, because I'm looking forward to getting it done quickly, very quickly.
Does that mean you'll provide security guarantees, Mr. President?
I don't want to talk about security yet, because I want to get the deal done. You know, you fall into the same trap like everybody else.
You won't talk about security guarantees.
Over and over. I want to get the deal done. Security is so easy. That's about 2% of the problem. I'm not worried about security. I'm worried about getting the deal done.
See how it changed from 95%, or like from 5% to 2%? Donald, why doesn't he talk about security guarantees? Because Russia doesn't want any security guarantees. That's why Trump doesn't talk about it. There's not going to be security guarantees. When you surrender, there are no security guarantees. You're fucked if you surrender. And this meeting here is intended to make Ukraine surrender. That's the whole point.
Security is the easy part. Security is very nice. Everybody stops shooting. And now will Europe put people there?
No, dude,
I know France.
it's Russia go home. That's what it is. Do you see how he keeps forgiving Russia? Because he's on Team Russia. He never mentions that Russia's invading Ukraine. He never says it. He never acknowledges the root aspect of this whole thing. It can end right now. All Russia has to do is go home. But Donald Trump will never say that, because he's on Team Russia.
Is going to. I know the UK is going to. I know other countries are going to, and they happen to be right next door. We haven't committed, but we could conceivably. You know, we have security in a different form. We'll have workers there digging, taking the raw earth, so that we can.
He's all about taking the stuff. That's all he's about.
In this country. So in that sense, you have something, but we haven't determined that yet. I will say, in speaking to France and in speaking to, and they were here, as you know, last week and just the other day, they have committed to a lot of security. I don't think you're going to need much security. I think once this deal gets done, it's over. Russia's not going to want to go back, and nobody's going to want to go back.
Yeah, because why is it over when this deal, quote, gets done? Because the deal Donald Trump is making is surrender. That's the deal he's making. It's so weird nowadays, right? Like, it used to be out in the open when things were going on, but now it's all fucking coded. Like all of it.
When this deal ends, I really believe this deal is going to be over. Question? Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you so
Mr.
much.
President, thank you. You had President Macron and Keir Starmer at the White House this past week, both of whom praised your courage and conviction to lead the pathway towards peace.
Yes.
Part of that involved, though, re-engaging Russia in diplomatic relations, something that previous leaders lacked the conviction to do so.
This guy, the reporter, is a fucking propagandist. The reporter, you can already hear what he's doing. He's like, you have the courage and conviction to engage in diplomacy with Russia. Like, what? Fuck, like, Biden's been trying to bring Russia to the table this whole time. But Putin is not interested in peace. Putin is interested in conquest. He wants to reconstitute the USSR. You don't reconstitute the USSR by peacefully getting countries to join into your group. No, you conquer them so they have no choice and they have no freedom. Ask Poland. Ask Ukraine. You can't ask Belarus because they're puppeted. They've been taken over by Russia already.
So what gave you the moral
So this
courage and
reporter
conviction
is a
to step forward
softball
and
guy
lead that?
from
Well, I
a
love this
right-wing
guy.
propaganda.
Who are you with?
One American News, sir.
Well,
One American
well,
News
I
is a
like him.
right-wing
One
propaganda,
American News
a
does
Nazi
great
outfit.
job. That's very. I like the question. I think it's a very good question. It is
Because it's a Nazi
pathway to peace.
Nazi outlet.
It's a
Giving you a
pathway
softball
to
question.
getting something solved. And I feel that as the head of this country, I have an obligation to do that. Plus, we're very much involved. We got involved. It's too bad we got involved because there should have been no involvement because there should have been no war. And
Because the plan was you were going to overthrow the government in 2021 and force Ukraine to surrender so that Russia wouldn't have had to invade with its military. It would have just been puppeted like Belarus. That was the plan. He keeps lamenting that so much. I wonder why.
October 7th, that would have never happened. As you know, Iran was broke. They had no money to give to Hezbollah. They had no money to give to Hamas. They were stone cold broke.
I think that's a bunch of bullshit. He's bullshitting.
And then under Biden, they became rich as hell.
That's a bunch of bullshit. Like, remember, the only American troops to be hurt by Iran were under Trump's administration. Trump assassinated the Iranian general, and in response, the Iranians fired a bunch of missiles at our bases. And our troops, a bunch of our troops got, they didn't die, but they got head injuries, they got concussions and shit like that from like missiles raining down upon them. So yeah, fuck Trump.
They went from no money to $300 billion in a period of 4 years. And they gave a lot of that money away, and you see what happened. And that's a real mess also that we hope to be able to solve.
He's just talking shit.
No, I appreciate your question very much. I feel I have an obligation to try and do something to stop the death.
If I can answer. Yes, if I can answer.
Please,
sorry.
go ahead.
Please. Please.
And I do like your clothing, by the way.
Yeah, really?
Even though I think he's a great guy, by the way. But I don't know if you two like each other. But you know what? I think he's dressed.
I like this guy.
I think he's dressed beautiful.
So I have more serious things than answer on such questions.
Sure,
I will answer on more serious
That's a good
questions if I
statement.
can. Yeah. So please, about security guarantees. And about just
security
ceasefire.
guarantees.
We can't just speak about ceasefire and speak and speak. It will not work. Just ceasefire will never work because I'm like a president. I have this experience, and not only me. Ukraine before my presidency, from the 2014, Putin broken 25 times.
Yep.
25 times.
Putin does not keep agreements.
His own signature. 25 times he broken ceasefire.
But he never broke to me. He never broke to me.
No, you were the president. You were the president during. He never broke to me. In 2016, you've been the president, Mr. President. You've been the president, but he had, of course, not with you, but he had during those periods. He had conversations with our side, and we had Normandy format. The France, Germany, Ukraine, and Russia, and he broken 25 times. That's why we will never accept just ceasefire. It will not work without security guarantees. Security guarantees, maybe President is right about this document and other, but this document is not enough. Strong army is enough because his soldiers afraid, Putin's soldiers afraid of our soldiers when we're strong enough. If we are not strong enough, if we are empty, if our storage is empty, we can't defend our land. Today, he knows that we have all the world knows that we have meeting. Yes, why he's using ballistic? Putin today using ballistic on our hospitals, schools, and etc. Ballistic. So he knows that we are here and that President Trump is really have goodwill to stop this war. And you hear now the president. So why he's using? So he doesn't want to stop. He doesn't want. But I hope that we will do it. Really, we'll do it. Security. When we speak about security guarantees, when the Europeans are ready for contingents, they need USA backstop. If there will not be United States, we will not never have any contingents, strong contingents from the Europeans, because they don't want to divide alliance connection between the United States and the main and strongest ally and Europeans. And this is crucial, this is important. That's what we want to speak about very much. This is very important. And air defense. So air defense, really, we have big deficit with all these systems, and we need to provide this. We need it very much. Otherwise, Putin will never stop, and will go further and further. He doesn't want. He hates us. You know, it's not about me. He hates Ukrainians. He thinks that we are not a nation. He thinks, and he shared these thoughts. I think maybe with your team also. I don't know, but with all the Europeans, in media, officially and not, he always said that there is no such country, such nation, such language, and such life like Ukrainian. No, he really doesn't respect all the Ukrainians, and he wants to destroy us. And you are right, Mr. President. That's 2%. This document, maybe other documents, it's a very good start, very good, but it will not enough to stop this person.
Should Russia pay to rebuild Ukraine?
Mr. President, after these
Should Russia pay to rebuild Ukraine?
They have to pay.
This question.
This is the rule. This is the rule of the war. This is the rule of the war. During all the centuries, all the history, this is the rule of the war. Who began, those pay.
Do you agree
This
with
is the
that?
rule. Putin began this war. He has to pay all money for innovation. He has to pay. Of course, some Russian assets, what we have in Europe, about 300 billion, we can use them. We can use for innovation and buy military support from the United States also. We can do it, but it's not enough. It's not enough.
President, under these circumstances, do you envision a trilateral summit with Putin and President Zelenskyy?
Wait 1 second.
I asked this question that you didn't like because I wanted to know if you want to position yourself in the middle between Russia and
Yes.
Ukraine, or on the Ukraine side.
No, I'm in the
So the question is, do you want to position yourself in the middle between Russia and Ukraine, or do you want to portray yourself on the Ukrainian side, an ally of Ukraine? And Donald Trump said, no, I want to be, he says in the middle, but what he really means is on the side of Russia.
middle. I want to solve this thing. I'm for both. I want to get it solved.
He's for both. He said, "Did you hear him? I'm for both. I'm for the rape victim Jane, and I'm for the rapist John." Like Donald Trump is like, who says that? Only people on the side of John, the rapist. You were never on the side of Jane, you fucking dumbass. See, Donald Trump like thinks he's fucking clever, but he's like, in the age of the internet and of video capture technology, yeah, we got you.
It's wonderful to speak badly about somebody else, but
yeah, because he does it all the time against his allies, against America's allies, against America's friends. He's a dick against all the democracies. Never says shit about North Korea. Never says shit about Russia. Like, I don't think he says shit about President Xi either.
I want to get it solved. If
Or
we can
Chairman
solve
Xi.
it, great. If we can't solve it, they're going to have to fight it out, and who knows what's going to happen. But I want to see it get solved.
May I follow up? One more question about U.S. troops in Europe. After Russian invasion of Ukraine, your predecessor sent additional troops to Eastern Europe, including Poland, my country.
Yeah.
Are you committed to keeping these troops on the eastern flank of NATO in the future?
I'm very committed to Poland. I think Poland has really stepped up and done a great job for NATO. As you know, they paid more than they had to. They are one of the finest groups of people I've ever known. I'm very committed to Poland.
What about Baltics?
Poland's in a tough neighborhood, you know.
What about the Baltics?
The Baltics, they got a lot of, it's a tough neighborhood too. but we're committed. We're going to be very.
He doesn't even know where the Baltics are. He's like, I don't know where that is. I wasn't prepped for it. He's like, I don't know who they are. The Baltics. The Baltics are Lithuania. Oh man. Finland. Estonia. Latvia. I don't know. I don't know actually.
Very committed, and we're committed to NATO. But NATO has to step up, and the Europeans have to step up.
He says he's committed to NATO, but it's
and I want to see them equalize because they are in for far less than we're in, and they should be at least equal. You understand that? Why is the United States? We have an ocean in between. Why is the United States in for so much more money and other things?
Well, because the United States has bases in their countries, and when you have a base inside of another country, it tends to have an influence on their foreign policy. Like, he's being a dumbass. He's just being totally stupid. Yeah, dude, we have, like, do you see, like, are there any, like, European bases inside the United States? No!
As Europe. With that being said, and as you said, they've also been obviously very helpful. But we have put in far more than they have.
That's a
And
bunch of
I
bullshit.
think they should equalize.
Mr. President,
Yeah, please, go
Can I
ahead.
ask you about the agreement again today? What changed between the first time that Secretary Besson gave President Zelensky the agreement and today for the signing?
We made a deal. So
What changed?
I'm just,
Deciding factor.
I'm a business person. We made a deal. That's what changed.
Minerals.
I didn't think we
So,
were.
in other words, there has, like, what changed between the first time when Zelensky refused to sign the deal, and then now when he says he's gonna sign a deal? What changed, like, specifically? And Donald Trump's like, I don't know, because I don't know anything. I'm just gonna call it a deal. He doesn't have any specifics because the whole point is to make Ukraine surrender. That's the point of this meeting, is for Ukraine to surrender.
Make a deal, and we ended up making the deal, so that changed.
Mr. President, what and how do you envision a trilateral summit with President Zelensky and Putin?
I don't know,
in
but
these
it's, well, they
circumstances?
don't like each other, I can tell you that. Okay? They do not like each other. This is not a love match, and it's unfortunate. That's why you're...
Why don't they like each other? Why would Jane not like John? Is it because John's a fucking rapist who raped her? And, like, yeah, right? There's a reason. See, Donald Trump, he creates frames with no historical context. That way he can make everyone look the way he wants them to look, because he just excludes history. But you can't, reality isn't like that. Everything's part of a story, and a story has a beginning and an end. And Ukraine, Russia, or like Putin and Zelensky don't just hate each other and that's the end of it. There's a reason why they hate each other. Zelensky is being invaded by, or Ukraine is being invaded by Russia. That's why Zelensky hates Putin. And Putin hates Zelensky because Zelensky isn't able to be corrupted. He couldn't corrupt Zelensky, and Zelensky, because Zelensky wasn't corrupted, Putin had to invade Ukraine with his army, and now he's losing. So yeah, it's the way Donald Trump talks is he strips out the historical context so he can create a positive frame for his preferred side, which is Russia.
In this situation, the United States should not have allowed this to happen. Okay? The United...
So what is Donald Trump suggesting? Is Donald Trump suggesting that the United States should have sent more weapons to Ukraine so that Ukraine wouldn't be invaded by Russia? Is Donald Trump saying that America should have sent its troops to defend the border from the Russian? Like, what is Donald Trump suggesting here that he's saying it should have happened? What do you mean?
The United States, run by a man that didn't know much, I'm going to be very nice, run by an incompetent person.
No, we're not talking about Donald Trump. I don't give a fuck about Donald Trump. Why do you think you could have stopped that it was the responsibility of the United States to stop the Russian invasion? What do you think is the responsibility of the United States? Because you're saying that it was the fault of the United States. He's not blaming Russia. Donald Trump is blaming the United States. So what could have the United States done differently to stop Russia from invading? And he will never answer, because his whole point is to defend Russia. That's his whole point. It's not Russia's fault they're invading. It's the United States' fault now. You see?
Very incompetent person. Should never have allowed this to happen.
How did the United States allow it to happen? How did the United States allow Russia to invade Ukraine? Does he ever answer it? No, he will never answer it, because his point isn't to tell the truth. His point is to defend Russia against democracies, against the West.
I've stopped wars. I've stopped many wars.
He's just bullshitting right now.
People will tell you, I stopped wars that nobody ever heard about. I I wars before they ever started. You can
just
look
whatever,
at some
dude.
I could give you a lot of nations that would tell you right now they were probably going to war. I could tell you right now there's a nation thinking about going to war on something that nobody in this room has ever even heard about.
He's just making
smaller
shit up.
nations, but big, still big. And I think I've stopped it, but this should have never happened.
Mr. President.
Sorry, just a second.
He's like, stop trying to railroad me. I'm here. I'm a head of state. I'm gonna fucking answer the question.
Negotiations. First of all, I want really to tell you, and I think that everybody understands that modern Ukrainians, nobody wants to stop this war. But at the future, any negotiations, it's understandable that two sides of the war, not Russia and the United States, because this is not the war between Russia and the United States. This is war of Russia against Ukraine and Ukrainian people. So these two sides will be at the will be at the negotiation table. Then of course United States.
Yeah, so Russia and the Trump administration had a meeting in Saudi Arabia about the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and Ukraine wasn't invited. The Trump team didn't invite Ukraine. So when I say Trump is on Team Russia, that's what I mean. Trump is looking out for Russian interests, not American interests and not Ukrainian interests. He's there for Russia. He's there for Vladimir Putin. So now Ukraine is saying, look, if there's ever going to be any kind of like resolution to the situation, it's going to not be the United States and Russia at the table. Ukraine's going to be at the table, because it's about Ukraine.
States, like the strongest partner of the Ukraine, and of course Europe. I think Europe is very important. I want to speak about it with the president. Yes, Europe is very important for us, because we really defend Europe for today. All Europeans really recognize that we are defending line, and they have real life, and our people are dying. That's why they helped us. And also it's about the NATO. Yes, between, like the president said, you have big, nice ocean. Yes, between us. But if we will not stay, Russia will go further to Baltics and to Poland, by the way. But first to the Baltics. It's understandable for them, because they've been in the USSR, you know, they've been one of the republics of the USSR, and Putin wants to bring them back to his empire. It's a fact. And when he will go there, if we will not stay, you will fight. Your American soldiers, it doesn't matter, do you have ocean or not, your soldiers will fight.
So Zelenskyy is saying that what's going on in Ukraine is of American interest. That your ocean isn't going to protect you from Russia. That you're going to end up, if Ukraine falls, then Russia isn't just going to stop it. All right, I'm done. I've got Ukraine. I'm finished. No, he wants the entire USSR reconstituted. So that's more and more and more of Europe. He's just going to keep attacking the war. So American troops will eventually be involved if Ukraine falls. It's not a solution to say, oh, it's not an answer to say that, oh, this is not America's problem. It is America's problem, because if Ukraine falls, America is going to be affected. And it's true. He's right. He's absolutely correct.
Mr. President, would you be willing to visit Ukraine, maybe Kyiv or Odessa, which is known to be a 30-year-old Black Sea?
It was my question.
I'm sorry.
I don't want to talk about Odessa now.
So the reporter asked, "Hey, would you go visit Ukraine, or would you go visit the city that Russia bombed into oblivion, Odessa? Like, would you go do it?" And he's like saying, "I don't want to talk about it." Because then he has to talk shit about Russia, and he doesn't want to talk shit about Russia. He's the Russian lawyer. Donald Trump never wants to say anything bad about Russia. So if you bring up Odessa, which is a war crime, Russia fucking demolished a civilian city, just turned it to absolute rubble, and killed all the people that lived there, or kidnapped them and stole them, and so he doesn't want to talk about it because he would have to talk bad about Russia.
Let's not talk about Odessa. I want to talk about making a deal, getting peace. We don't have to talk about Odessa, but a lot of cities have been destroyed. A lot of cities that are not recognizable. There's not a building standing.
No.
And a lot of things have to happen.
You have to come and to look. No. We have very good cities. Yes, a lot of things have been destroyed, but mostly cities alive, and people work, and children go to school. Sometimes it's very difficult. Sometimes closer to front line, children have to go to underground schools or online, but we live. Ukraine is fighting and Ukraine lives. This is very important. And maybe it's Putin is sharing this information that he destroyed us. No, he lost 700,000 people, 700,000 soldiers. He lost everything. Yes. So.
Mr. President, one more. I mentioned
Please, go ahead.
When did you last speak with President Putin, and what did he say?
A couple of days ago.
And what did
So he last talked to President Putin a couple of days ago. So, like, Donald Trump is in close contact with his boss, which is Putin.
he tell you that gave you the assurance that he wanted peace?
Well, that's what I do. My whole life is deals. I know pretty good. And I've known him for a long time. I've dealt with him for a long time. He had to suffer through the Russia hoax. You know, Russia was a hoax. It was all Biden. It was nothing to do with him.
What's he talking about? The Robert Mueller, the special counsel, happened during the Trump term. How is it all Biden? What? Where did the Russian investigation come up? Why did you bring that up, Donald Trump? Why did you bring up the Russian investigation into your connection with Vladimir Putin? That's weird. That's weird. That tells me that you feel fucking... That's a consciousness of guilt. That he knows that he's guilty. And it bugs him all the time. It bugs him all the time. That he has to pretend that he wasn't working with Vladimir Putin. Because, yeah, it didn't happen. He wants to blame Biden, right? You see how, because that's his defensive mechanism. He's a child. So he has to have a scapegoat to blame for all his problems. And his scapegoat changes. It used to be Obama. He used to blame Obama for all his problems. Now he's blaming Joe Biden for all his problems. So he was asked a question about how do you know Vladimir Putin is going to make a deal and is interested in peace? And Donald Trump starts talking about, Joe Biden started the whole Russia investigation when it happened under the Trump term. Isn't that weird how Donald Trump, his brain is so fucked up that he can't really remember anything?
So he had to suffer through that, and he was...
And he's saying that poor Putin had to suffer? Motherfucker, Putin is the president of an enemy nation. Like, why are you sympathizing with the president of an enemy nation that's only our enemy because they're a bunch of fucking crooks and criminals? That's why they're our enemies. Like, why would you feel bad for bad guys unless you're a bad guy yourself? See, Donald Trump is the lawyer for Russia. This meeting, it wasn't about a mineral deal, it was to make Ukraine surrender. That was the whole point of this meeting.
He was able to do that. I think that he wants to make a deal and he'd like to see it end. That's all I do. That's what I...
So it's about Putin, right? Putin wants to see it end. Yeah, Putin wants to see it end because Putin's tired of spending all his money on the invasion. He'd rather not have to invade. He'd rather Ukraine surrender, and that way it wouldn't cost him any money and he can try to recover his economy. Because his economy is in fucking shambles right now. So Donald Trump is such a lawyer for Russia. It's crazy.
I do my whole life. That's what I do is make deals. And I'm in the middle of a mess because this is a real mess. It's a very dangerous one. If this doesn't get solved now, it's not going to get solved for a long time. So I hope we're going to get it solved. In the back, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Prime Minister Starmer claims repeatedly that his government believes in free speech and does not engage in censorship. But his country's government arrests people for memes and thought crimes, and even more worrisome is pressuring American companies to censor Americans on its behalf. How can he be a reliable, trustworthy partner when he says things that are demonstrably false on such an important topic?
Well, we actually.
So this reporter works for another right-wing propaganda outlet, and he's talking shit about the UK. I don't know what he's talking about actually. Like free speech, like what? But whenever someone talks about free speech, generally that's a right-wing talking point. They love, like Elon Musk is a big time like authoritarian, totalitarian censor. Like he censors. You can't say the word cisgendered on X. He blocks it out. But you can be a Nazi. He has no problem with Nazis and right-wing talking points. But anything that he doesn't like is censored. So it's like the opposite of free speech. But he convinces like dumbasses to follow him who can't understand that Elon Musk does most of the censorship himself, just in a direction that they like. That's all. So they can.
We spoke to him about that yesterday, and we thought they took it very, very much too far. JD was very strong on it. So was I. So was Marco, and we've been speaking to him about it. Marco, would you like to say something about that?
Yeah, we have concerns, obviously, with the conduct of those, particularly as it impacts Americans. And there's real concern that American speech, which is online, could fall into the hands of British or any country's jurisdiction. And so this is a point the Vice President made at Munich, and I think it's a very compelling one that what unites us with Europe, as much as anything else, is these shared values, and one of them being free speech. And so if Americans are threatened by it, we're going to need to take action in that regard.
Mr. President. It's actually a very important question.
We spoke about this in detail with the Prime Minister, the Foreign Secretary, and others at lunch yesterday. And I know that Secretary of Commerce Lutnick followed up in private meetings last night. This is really important. We believe Americans have the right to speak their mind, even if we in this room disagree with them. They have the right to speak their mind in the public square, which is often online these days. And we're going to defend that right as it pertains to American companies and American citizens vigorously if we have to. I do think that under the President's leadership, we're going to find common ground with our friends in the UK on this question, but it remains to be seen. The principle that will guide us is we believe in free speech in this country, and we'll fight for it for American citizens.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Mr. President, on the deal, is there any other oil and gas component to the deal? Is it all critical?
A little bit. We'll see.
On LNG?
But we're not really looking for that so much. We got a lot. We have more than anybody in the world, by far. So no, we're not talking about it too much, but a little bit. I think it affects also, but for the most part, no.
And sir, is there any agreement from Ukraine to purchase U.S. LNG as part of the deal, or is that on the table at all?
No, we don't need that.
Mr. President, I just wanted to ask you about, you just mentioned that you'd spoken to Vladimir Putin a couple of days ago. Just to be clear, that's a new call, not the one that you...
I've spoken to him on numerous occasions.
Okay, and how was the latest call? What did you discuss? How did it go?
Are you serious with that question?
I am, I'd love to know.
It went well. I think we're going to have a deal.
On the minerals deal, Mr. President, some of those minerals are in the east of Ukraine, not far from the front lines and in areas that Russia has occupied. Will you direct President Putin to withdraw his forces from those areas if there's U.S. interest?
Well, we'll take a look.
So, like, that's the key point, right? That's the key point. The whole deal here, the whole thing that Ukraine wants is for Russia to withdraw and go back to Russia. That's the whole thing. That's the crux of the deal. Like, that's why Zelensky's there, and that's why, yeah. And you can't extract the minerals if Russia's invaded, right? You can't do it. They're gonna kill you. So, like, what are you gonna do about the minerals that are really close to the front line in Russia-occupied territory? What are you gonna do?
Look at the time. We have a lot of area It's a very big area we're talking about. So we'll take a look. I'll study that and I'll see.
And who would protect those
So he doesn't answer. He's like, I don't know. He's like, we'll see.
minerals if they are U.S. interests? Would that be Ukrainian
They'll be
forces?
protected. The
European
agreement will protect them.
So there he goes, right? There he goes. He's like, the agreement that Vladimir Putin has broken 25 times by itself will be enough to protect the minerals. Not secure. He's like, I don't want to do security guarantees because Ukraine's surrendering. So, so all that's gonna happen is yeah, no security guarantees.
US
The agreement, yeah, we're signing an agreement. You know?
Right, but what if Russia tries to invade or there's Russian aggression in those spots?
I just told you, I don't think that's going to happen. And if that were going
What
to
if they
happen,
do?
I wouldn't make a deal. If I thought that was going to happen, I wouldn't make a deal.
But what if they did?
Some people may wonder
You
why.
know, they ought to focus on CNN, on survival, not asking me these things.
See, like, that's the thing. You see how Donald Trump avoided that question and then turned it around and starts attacking CNN? He's like, the question is, so what happens if Vladimir Putin invades despite the agreement? And Donald Trump said he's not going to do it. I'm like, but what if he does? And he's like, but he's not going to do it. I wouldn't make the deal if I thought he was going to do it. But that wasn't the question. The question is, what will you do if he does? And then he starts saying, oh, fuck CNN. He can't answer. he just falls back to bullshit. Because when he's asked a real question, he can't answer it. Because the real answer is he will do nothing. He's not interested in stopping Russia. He's not interested in defending Ukraine. So when you ask him about how will you defend Ukraine, he's not going to answer because that's not his goal. He's on Team Russia, not Team Ukraine. He doesn't want Ukraine to be defended. He wants to go in there, take the minerals, and then let Russia take the rest of the country. That's what he wants. That's what Donald Trump wants.
Ridiculous questions. Focus on surviving because CNN's got such low ratings.
So he just refuses to answer the question. He's like, how do you know, what will you do if Russia invades? And he's like, fuck you, CNN, fuck you. What will you do if Russia invades again? Fuck you, CNN. He can't answer it. He's such a fucking pussy, Donald Trump. He's such a weakling. He's so weak. I think that's why so many people like him, because he's so weak.
I don't think they're going to survive. Let's go. Please, go.
I already mentioned Poland. Poland was under Russian control for decades after the Second World War. When I was a kid, I looked at the United States not only as a most powerful country, richest country in the world, the country that has great music, great movies, great muscle cars, but also as a force for good. And now I'm talking with my friends in Poland, and they are worried that you align yourself too much with Putin. What's your message for them?
Yeah, so people in Poland are worried that Donald Trump is aligning himself too much with Putin. So it's like, so what do you say to my friends who say that you're aligning yourself too much with Putin?
Well, if I didn't align myself with both of them,
no, he's not aligning himself with both of them. He aligns himself with Putin.
Never have a deal. You want me to say really terrible things about Putin and then say, hi, Vladimir, how are we doing on the deal? That doesn't work that way. I'm not allowed.
He called Zelenskyy a fucking dictator on social media. So he's full of shit. He's already fucking done that bullshit to Zelenskyy. Why doesn't he do it against Vladimir Putin? Because he's on Team Russia. Because Donald Trump will talk shit about Zelenskyy, but won't talk shit about Putin because Donald Trump is on Team Putin and he doesn't talk shit about his boss.
Aligned with Putin? I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm aligned with the United States of America and for the good of the world. I'm aligned with the world. And I want to get this thing over with. You see the hatred he's got for Putin. It's very tough for me.
What? He's like, oh, look at the hatred Zelenskyy has for Putin. Well, no shit, dude. The guy's fucking invading his country and killing his countrymen and raping his women and stealing his children. I would be fucking pissed too, you dumbass. Man, Donald Trump is totally on Team Russia. Look at him. Look at him. I can't believe that.
To make a deal with that kind of hate. He's got tremendous hatred. And I understand that, but I can tell you the other side is exactly in love with, you know.
Well, who the fuck cares what the invaders feel? Like, oh, the invaders don't like the people they're invading. Well, no shit, dude. Listen to the way Donald Trump defends the Russians. It's fucking disgusting. It's disgusting the way he defends Russia. But it's, I mean, but like at this point, it's so obvious. If anyone pays attention, they can see it, right? It's just so clear that where Donald Trump is.
Him either. So it's not a question of alignment. I'm aligned with the world. I want to get the thing set. I'm aligned with Europe. I want to see if we can get this thing done. You want me to be tough? I could be tougher than any human being you've ever seen. I'd be so tough. But you're never going to get a deal that way. So that's the way it goes. All right, one more question.
Hey, I want to respond to this. So look, for 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and...
So, yeah, remember, the question was, my friends in Poland are concerned with the way that Donald Trump aligns himself with Vladimir Putin. How do you respond to that? And Donald Trump says, well, I can't talk shit about the guy I'm working with. Except he already did. He talked shit about Zelenskyy. So that's a lie, right? So in other words, he just lied. Now here comes Vance to launch the attack.
Talk tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We try.
Yeah, right. Diplomacy. Get the fuck out, or I'll kill you. Leave. Go back to Russia, or you die. I mean, that there it is, right? It's pretty clear what the diplomacy is. All Russia has to do is go back to Russia. That's it. It's so easy. But Vance is gonna be a lawyer for Vladimir Putin. Here, watch. This is J.D. Vance being a lawyer for Russia.
The pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the President of the United States' words mattered more than the President of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy.
Well, and fighting for freedom, right? We killed the Nazis, remember? Fighting for freedom. We fight for freedom. That's what makes America the good guys, because they fight for the freedom of others.
That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask you?
No, that's not what he's doing.
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So he occupied our parts.
Yeah, Putin occupied Ukraine.
Parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact
2015.
2014.
2014 and 2014.
2014.
Yeah. So
I was not here.
Yeah, but
that's exactly right.
So, see how Donald Trump is not in the conversation. Zelensky's like, no, this issue covered a bunch of administrations. It covered Obama, then Trump, then Biden. Now they're back to Trump. So he's not blaming any one administration. But in 2014, yeah, Putin just rolled the Ukrainian military.
Yes, but during 2014 till 2022, yeah, the situation the same. The people have been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him, me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed him with gas contract. Gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes.
So what is that? So he's already broken all these fucking agreements. He's already broken these agreements. What are you talking about? What kind of diplomacy, JD?
But Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office.
So the diplomacy that he's using, he's got to use the diplomacy, right? So JD Vance says no, we got to use American diplomacy, and then Zelensky asks him, well, he diplomacy failed all these other times when he broke the agreement. So he's like, so what kind of diplomacy do you want to do, JD Vance, that would stop Putin? And JD Vance is like, let me tell you, I'm going to do Russian diplomacy against Ukraine right now. So this is JD Vance switching to Russian.
To try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should.
Why do you have manpower problems? Oh, because they're being invaded by Russia. So the answer is, let's get Russia to go home. All Russia has to do is go home.
Be thanking the president for trying to bring it into this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine? That you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Come once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and
So it's like, no, I've never actually been there, but I watched the video. He won't go to Ukraine.
I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda.
And he's like, I won't go because I heard stories about people. I heard that it's a big propaganda thing, but I won't go to find out myself. So he's just repeating bullshit. JD Vance is a bullshitter.
Tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems?
What does that have to do with anything, dude?
Bringing people into your military? And do you think that it's respectful?
Like, do you see? He's pushing the Russian perspective. He's like, the Ukrainian military is weak. It's having problems staffing its people. Like, why would you say that to in front of a camera to the president of the country being invaded? Unless you're helping the invader. Unless you're helping Russia. So yeah, JD Vance is on Team Russia right here. So here's where the ambush is starting. Now they're doing the ambush.
To come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent.
What? When did he ever attack the administration? I've been pausing this video non-stop, dude. Every time. You can, like, if you can point out any time where he attacked the administration, you're welcome to do so. But you can't because you're fucking lying. But that's alright, right? Fascists love liars. They fucking love liars. Fascists don't actually care about truth. All they care about is power.
The destruction of your country.
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
So yeah. So what Zelensky is saying is that is what I've been, what everyone's been saying is that, like, you want to dismiss Ukraine as being over there and not a problem for the United States. But the issue is that Russia is not going to stop just with Ukraine. It will keep going. And eventually it's going to involve American troops directly. Right now, American troops aren't involved. But they will be involved if Russia continues. And now the Russians' lawyers are going to deny it. Because the Russian lawyers want there to be a separation between between Ukraine and America. They don't want America and Ukraine to be allies. They want to isolate Ukraine and the United States. So even though it's true what Zelensky is saying, the Russian lawyers are going to deny it.
God bless. You will not have war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
Don't tell us what we're gonna feel. like that's like saying, oh, like this thing that's gonna jab into your arm, it's gonna hurt, and you're gonna be like, no, don't tell me how I'm gonna feel. Like, motherfucker, it's mechanical. It's gonna happen. You dumbass. But that's Donald Trump trying to act tough.
We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on this
position to
question.
dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly what
this.
you're doing.
I'm not
You're in
dictating.
no position to dictate what we're going to feel.
You
We're
will-
going to feel very
you will
good.
feel influenced.
We're going to feel
I'm-
very
I'm
good and
telling
very
you,
strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed
From the
yourself
very
to
So
be...
like Donald Trump is is putting on the mob boss thing now. He's turning on to mob boss. He's reaching back to his time of reality TV on Celebrity Apprentice. And he's like doing the "you're fired" shtick right now. That's what he's doing.
Very
the very
bad position,
beginning
and he
of the
happens
war.
to be right about
From the
it.
very beginning of the war.
You're not
Mr.
in a good
Brown,
position.
I
You don't
was
have the
saying-
cards right now. With us, you start having
not playing
cards.
cards.
Right now, you don't.
I'm very
You're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're
I'm
gambling
the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling.
You see how Donald Trump has turned full Russian? He's full Russian right now. He's talking shit to his quote quote ally, but actually he's in front of all these television cameras and all these reporters. He's just going insane. He's going off, right? So he's going full Russian. Donald Trump is going full Russian.
With World War III, and what you're doing.
Who threatens World War III all the time? Vladimir Putin, the Russians. Do you see how Donald Trump is repeating all the Russian talking points? He talks shit about the Ukraine all the time. We'll never talk shit about Russia. Because he's a Russian lawyer. He's on Team Russia.
Is very disrespectful to the country, this country.
Like, see, Donald Trump is trying to create the pretense of disrespect as a reason to cut off all aid to Ukraine. When the truth is, Donald Trump is on Team Russia, and he was going to do it anyways. There was nothing Ukraine could have done to save it. Ukraine was brought there to surrender, not to sign a defense agreement.
It's back to you far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once? This
A lot.
entire
So that's a bullshit question. Zelensky has said thank you like dozens and dozens of times before Congress, before the people, before speeches, all over the place. So it's a bullshit question being asked by a propaganda outlet.
meeting? No, in this
Even
entire meeting, have
today.
you said
Oh no, not yeah. JD Vance. Yeah, he's a propaganda outlet. Yeah, JD Vance is an idiot.
thank
Even
you?
today.
He was there when he thanked everyone. But JD Vance is a liar.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October.
No, what he did is he met with the Vice President of the United States. Because the United States, under the Biden administration, is an ally of Ukraine. Kind of weird, JD Vance. That's how you would characterize it. But that's because JD Vance is a fascist, and he's trying to attack him. He's a Russian lawyer attacking the Ukrainians.
Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
So he's like, you have to surrender if you want to save your country. That's what he's. So it's a threat. It's a threat. What's going on now is are threats. He's threatening Zelensky.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war,
He's not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly.
He was fucking shouting. No, he was super loud. And then Donald Trump. Look at the way Donald Trump jumps in. They're like a tag team group. It's like pro wrestling. They're like tag teaming Zelensky. It's incredible to watch. And it's done in English, which is a foreign language for Zelensky. It's incredible that he's able to even make sense of of the word salad from Donald Trump. It's crazy.
Country's in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No,
Can
you've
I
done a lot
answer?
of talking.
He's like, no, you've done a lot of talking. No, he hasn't. This has been dominated by questions to Donald Trump. And he just got attacked by your fucking vice president, and you're not gonna let him talk? Yeah, see, Donald Trump is on Team Russia.
Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
Okay, Russia, listen to the Russian talking. Listen to Donald Trump speak the Russian talking points.
You're not winning. You're not winning this.
So that's the Russian talking point over and over and over again. You see? He's on Team Russia. Donald Trump is on Team Russia.
You have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of us.
Mr. President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
you haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this cabinet.
We gave you, through this stupid president, $350 billion.
You voted
we gave
for
you
your
military
president.
equipment,
You
and you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave,
president.
but they had to use our military.
What about
if you didn't have
You
our
invited
military
me-
equipment,
You invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak.
have our military equipment, this war would have been over in
Like
2 weeks.
Donald Trump is
I
just
heard it from
being
Putin.
dumb.
In
He's
3
just
days.
filibustering.
This is something
Maybe
new.
less.
In 2 weeks, of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this. I
Again,
tell you.
just say thank you.
I said a lot of times
that there,
thank you
accept
to
that-
American people.
Accept that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think.
So you can see these two are Russian lawyers. They're working for Russia.
I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on.
I understand, sir.
I think it's
I
very
understand.
important. That's why I kept this going so long. You have to be thankful. You don't have.
You see this mob boss, right? It's mob boss action. What he's doing here. He's trying to humiliate Zelenskyy. He's trying to humiliate Zelenskyy, and Zelenskyy won't take it. Zelensky's not going to do it. He's not going to bend the knee to Donald Trump.
The cards. You're buried there. Your people are dying. You're running.
Listen to him. Listen to the way he's talking. Your people are dying. You're gonna lose. You can't win. Like, he's a fucking Russian. Donald Trump is a Russian. Listen to him.
Running low on soldiers. Listen, you're running low on soldiers. It would be a damn
Listen to him. He's a fucking Russian. He's a Russian.
good thing. And then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go, and I want this. Look, if you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course, we want to stop the war.
Who's the people dying? Russians. A lot of Russians are dying. They're getting fucking murdered because Russia sends them in meat waves. They're like meat shields. Russia uses their men like meat shields, bullet sponges. So yeah, they have a lot of casualties. The Russians, they can't maintain what they're doing. Like they can, it's effective. Human waves of meat is an effective strategy as long as you have an unlimited supply of meat. But the problem is Russia doesn't have an unlimited supply of meat. You can make more bullets than you can make human beings. So they're losing the war of attrition, and Russia needs Donald Trump to get Ukraine to give up, to surrender. But Ukraine is refusing to surrender.
But you're saying you don't want to see.
So since Ukraine you refuse to surrender, Donald Trump is switching into hard sales mode. He's doing the hard selling right now.
I said to you,
I want a ceasefire.
With guarantees.
Because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't with me.
For you what,
that
what
wasn't
is
with me.
It
That was with
wasn't
a guy named Biden who was not a smart person.
This
That
is
was
your,
with,
this
that was
is
with
your
Obama.
president. It was your president.
Excuse me.
So in other words, Donald Trump is saying Donald Trump is saying the previous administration isn't valid.
That was with Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you.
No, what happened was Donald Trump stole the javelins and said, "I'm not going to give you these javelins that Congress gave you unless you become corrupt and you open an investigation into Joe Biden." So and since that failed, Donald Trump got impeached. So he's so full of shit, it's crazy. I can't handle it.
You the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement is Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins.
I have no idea what he's talking about. He's just making up shit right now. Donald Trump's just making up shit. He's an old man. He can't really remember things.
You got to be more thankful.
So he's like, "You got to kiss the ring. Why aren't you kissing my ring?" He's like, "Kiss the ring," and Zelensky's like, "Fuck you. I'm not kissing your fucking ring."
Because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards. But without us, you don't have any cards.
Isn't he talking like a mob boss? He sounds exactly like a mob boss. This could be a fucking script for a TV sitcom. where the old man tries to be a mob boss.
One more question to Mr. Vice President. I'm sorry.
It's going to be a tough deal to make because the attitudes have to change.
What if Russia breaks ceasefire? What if Russia breaks peace talks?
What if Russia breaks the ceasefire? It was the same question that was asked earlier by CNN, and Donald Trump refused to answer, and instead of answering the question, he attacked CNN. So it's the same question. The same question is being asked right now. What do you do if Russia breaks the agreement and invades?
I understand that it's a heated conversation right now.
What are you saying?
She's asking, what if Russia breaks the ceasefire?
What if anything?
So he's like, he can't answer it, right? Because he knows he cannot say, oh yeah, Russia, USA is going to put in security guarantees. No, he's on Team Russia. He doesn't want security guarantees. So the whole point is for Ukraine to accept the taking of their minerals and their land in exchange for peace. Like, they're saying, and no guarantees that we won't do it again. We'll just stop killing you right now. That's surrender. And and so everyone keeps asking Donald Trump, what's going to guarantee Russia from invading Ukraine again in the future? And Donald Trump doesn't want to answer.
What if a bomb drops on your head right now? Okay? What if they broke it? I don't know. They broke it with Biden because Biden...
So he's like, I don't know. What if they broke it? I don't know what will happen. The President of the United States, who wants to make a deal to bring peace to Ukraine, doesn't know what will happen if Russia breaks the deal. What kind of fucking deal maker is Donald Trump? What a dumbass.
They didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama. They respect me.
No, they own you. They own you. You're their little dog.
Let me tell you, Putin went through a hell of a lot with me. He went through a phony...
Isn't that interesting? That it's him and Putin together. They went through a hell of a lot together, him and Putin. His good buddy, his good friend Putin. Wow, the mask is falling off. Now we know that Donald Trump and Putin are really, really close. That's the real alliance. Now you see the real alliance. It's not with Zelenskyy, who's sitting right next to him. He just talks shit about Zelenskyy. No, the real alliance that Donald Trump has is with Putin. Ooh.
Witch hunt where they used him and Russia. You ever hear of that deal? That was a phony Hunter Biden, Joe Biden scam.
What? A phony Hunter Biden, Joe Biden scam? You mean the investigation that started under the Trump administration, the Trump presidency? How did Joe Biden get power in the Trump administration? Is Donald Trump saying that he gave Joe Biden power to investigate Donald Trump during the Donald Trump administration? Holy shit! I think Donald Trump is actually fucking stupid. He's just reaching out to his usual scapegoat. Well, to whatever the latest scapegoat is. It used to be Hillary, it used to be Obama, now it's Joe Biden. He keeps changing his scapegoat, right? You gotta keep the people engaged with the new hate target. So, yeah, the whole Russia investigation began under the Trump administration, but he keeps reaching back, trying to blame Joe Biden. Like, he's such a dumbass. But how is it that he's bringing up the Russia investigation again? Where did that even come from? The question was, what will you do if Russia breaks the agreement? And Donald Trump says, well, let me tell you about the investigation into the collusion between the Donald Trump administration and the Russians. Like, what? What? Guilty conscious.
Hillary Clinton, Shifty Adam Schiff, it was a Democrat scam.
So he's just making shit up. He's just calling out random people because he doesn't know what's going on.
And he had to go through that.
Putin had to go through it? Like, are you fucking full of shit? He was never prosecuted, you dumbass. He's in Russia. He's never come to the United States. What the fuck are you talking about? But Donald Trump is such a good little defender of Putin. It's amazing. Like, Donald Trump will step up to defend Putin all the time. It's so weird.
He did go through it. We didn't end up in a war. And he went through it. He was accused of all that stuff. He had nothing to do with it. It came out of Hunter Biden's bathroom.
What? This all started under the Trump administration. Why you like Hunter Biden wasn't even? No one even knew who Hunter Biden was back when you were president. Like you're just making shit up, dude.
It came out of Hunter Biden's bedroom.
No, it came out of George Papadopoulos drunkenly blabbing to the Australian deputy ambassador that he had access to dirt on Hillary Clinton from the Russians. That's where it started from. Your campaign, dude, was working with the Russians to steal the 2016 presidential elections. That's where it came from. Way before any fucking Biden thing.
It was disgusting.
Yeah, it was disgusting to watch. I can't believe Americans fucking got tricked. Like, there must be a lot of racist Americans because, yeah, you're able to use those dog whistles to make those racist Americans vote for you, you piece of shit.
And then they said, oh, the laptop from hell was made by Russia.
What? So he's admitting, like, where did this come from? He's admitting a bunch of bullshit. Yeah, dude, the quote Hunter Biden's laptop was fucking doctored by the Russians. You're correct. Because the FBI never came into contact with the actual laptop. The only thing they got was an image of the hard drive. They never got the actual laptop. Where did the image come from? Like, it didn't, like, it was a real image of the hard drive, or was it doctored? Like, it's so easy to fuck with shit. It's so easy, but Donald Trump is a dumbass. He's admitting all his crimes when all they asked was, how do you know, Vladimir, what happens if the Russians invade Ukraine again? That was the question, and now he's just going off.
The 51 agents. The whole thing was a scam, and
he's just making shit up.
He had to put up with that. He was being accused of all that stuff.
Putin had to put up with it. What the fuck is wrong with you, Donald Trump? The question wasn't about Putin at all. But now you're in like full defense mode for Putin. It's weird. It's weird to see Donald Trump go full defense mode for Vladimir Putin. But it's happening. We're watching it.
All I can say is this. He might have broken deals with Obama and Bush, and he might have broken them with Biden. He did, maybe. Maybe he didn't. I don't know what happened.
He doesn't know shit, dude. He doesn't know shit.
But he didn't break them with me. He wants to make a deal.
There was no deal with Biden, right? He invaded Ukraine, and you just told us that there was no talking between Biden and Russia. You're saying, oh, it's bullshit that Biden didn't try to do diplomacy with Russia. So no, he didn't fucking break any deals with Biden, because Biden didn't make any deals with that motherfucker. Oh my God, Bush or Trump, you're so fucking stupid.
I don't know if you can make a deal. The problem is, I've empowered you to be a tough guy, and
remember, Europe has given more money to Ukraine than Donald Trump. The Americans gave hardware, their old hardware. They're like, we don't want to deal with this trash. You deal with this trash. But they didn't give as much money as Europe did.
I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States, and your people are very brave.
So, like, listen to the way he starts fucking shitting on Ukraine again. Like, he just got done defending Putin, and now he's like saying, you guys wouldn't be tough without our help. You guys are weak without our help. Listen to this motherfucker. Like, he's absolutely on Team Russia. It's incredible.
But you're either going to make a deal or we're out. And
so he's like, either surrender or the United States is going to stop giving you arms.
We're out. You'll fight it out. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but you'll fight it out. But you don't have the cards. But once...
He keeps coming back to the cards thing because his brain is mush. He says, you don't have the cards! You don't have the cards! If he repeats it enough times, maybe people will believe him. Motherfucker, France already offered to make a mineral deal with Ukraine. So, the minerals that Trump wanted are going to go to France now.
Once we sign that deal, you're in a much better position. But you're not acting at all thankful. And that's...
So he's like, you're not kissing my ring. You're not kissing my feet. You're not kissing my ass. Because I'm the mob boss.
It's not a nice thing. I'll be honest, that's not a nice thing.
I would fucking, I can't stand Donald Trump. If Donald Trump asked me to kiss the ring, I don't know what I would do. But I would definitely not kiss the ring.
All right, I think we've seen enough. What do you think? Huh? This is going to be great television, I will say that. All right. We'll see what we can do about putting it together. Thanks.
I need the back of
We'll see. I don't know.
All right, guys, come on. Wait, hey, guys, come on. Let's move, please.
You see the Russians support the Russians and Zelensky, like, you know. Wasn't that fucking crazy? Wow, wow, what a crazy experience. What a crazy show. So, you can see that Donald Trump and JD Vance are absolutely on Team Russia. And they're absolutely against Zelensky. That whole thing was an ambush. But Zelensky not only did not disrespect Donald Trump, but he also didn't surrender. And yeah, Donald Trump exposed himself as being a fucking stooge for Putin. He defended Putin, he defended Russia, he attacked Ukraine, he attacked the Europeans. Like, yeah, Donald Trump is absolutely on Team Russia. So, I mean, it's pretty... The problem is that Americans are not going to see what we just saw. Americans, they don't have the attention span for it. They'd rather have their companies, their media companies, send them little pieces and then of media to frame it for them, to do the thinking for them. So all they have to do is repeat whatever their bosses tell them. So I don't know how this is going to work for the Americans. Like, it should be obvious that Donald Trump is not working on behalf of the United States, but helping Russia. And then it's I know it's obvious to the Europeans who watched, because they all know now that the United States, from the government, at least the government has turned evil. The government has joined Russia and against democracies. So that's where we're at right now. In the United States, like, I'm not sure what's gonna happen. It's kind of a scary time. Like, we're gonna go into a big fucking recession/depression because the Trump team is fucking wrecking everything. And it's spooking business. But yeah, so it looks like we're heading toward World War III with Donald Trump. Oh boy, guys. Well, I got some levels fucking built up. I can come back later. I don't want to do this now. All right, thanks for hanging out. I will catch you later. Peace. Bogo Kiddo out. Stop. Stop. Stop.